Chapter 1041, Scaring Himself. Chapter 1041, Scaring Himself. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan's situation was very weird. Qi Zai could not help but feel wary. What sort of Dao marks does he have? Why can he use the killer moves of different paths and receive an amplification effect, without any hindrances? Qi Zai seemed to be preparing while waiting patiently and at ease, but in fact, he was working hard at racking his brains. As far as I know, in history, only one person could do this, that was Reckless Savage Demon Venerable. There were a number of demon venerables in human history. Among them was Reckless Savage. He was the founder of Strength Path and had also cultivated Transformation Path. Historical records had stated that he could transform into countless things, and his Dao marks could change at will. For example, when Reckless Savage Demon Venerable turned into a lightning wolf, he would be able to use lightning path killer moves. When he became a swamp crab, he would be able to use earth path killer moves without feeling any disturbance and weakening from other Dao marks. Ordinary Transformation Path Gu masters could only specialize in one kind of transformation. For example, in Northern Plains Imperial Court Contest, Qinglong and Qing could only transform into a dragon and tiger respectively. As for Transformation Path Gu immortals, for example, Helang Zi, he could turn into 3 types of wolves, having different Dao marks on him. But when he switched his Dao marks, he had to wait for some time and use certain methods to get rid of the original Dao marks and prevent the disturbance of Dao marks of other paths. This problem had troubled every single Transformation Path Gu master and Gu immortal in history. Except one person. That was Reckless Savage Demon Venerable. He could transform at will without considering the interference between Dao marks. Unfortunately, after Reckless Savage Demon Venerable died, his method was not passed down. Countless talented individuals had tried to learn his methods, but their results had been failure, obtaining nothing. Don't tell me that this enemy here has inherited a crucial transformation path inheritance of Reckless Savage Demon Venerable. Qi Zai thought of this and felt a fire of excitement burning in him. Other than this explanation, he could not think of anything else. Of course, Gu masters cultivate in various ways. There are countless numbers of people and methods, not all of them follow conventional wisdom. Qi Zai squinted, he was still very calm. Actually, his guess that Fang Yuan had obtained a true inheritance of Reckless Savage Demon Venerable was still an underestimation of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan could do this because he had the rank 9 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu that Spectral Soul Demon Venerable refined. This Immortal Gu was not ordinary. Not only was it the crucial thing needed for Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's revival, it was also his hope of surpassing all of the Venerables in history. In the past, after Spectral Soul Demon Venerable died, he was not resigned to that fate. Thus, he built Shadow Sect and planned meticulously. During that time, he not only revised on the knowledge gained during his life, he even searched for countless inheritances all over the world. Among these inheritances, there were Gu Master inheritances of all kinds. They could give Spectral Soul Demon Venerable new inspiration and brand new directions. There were also Gu Immortal inheritances and even a number of the other Venerables' inheritances. Shadow Sect could obtain one of Red Lotus Demon Venerable's true inheritances, the most mysterious Venerable in history, not to mention the other Venerables. Spectral Soul Demon Venerable controlled Shadow Sect and set up Zombie Alliance over the 5 regions. After tens of thousands of years, he accumulated his foundation and researched, putting in immense effort and making huge sacrifices. Eventually, he gathered all his knowledge and made use of the key aspects of it, creating the rank 9 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. One could say, this Immortal Gu was not just the materialization of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable's soul path, it also showed his immense accumulation of the essence of other paths. It was an unparalleled treasure. Even though Heavens will used Fang Yuan as a tool, at the crucial moment, Fang Yuan, as an otherworldly demon, broke free of its manipulation, using Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu for himself. Qi Zai felt suspicion. Even though Fang Yuan had rank 6 aura, he did not dare to be careless. He was probing Fang Yuan. He was a rank 7 Gu immortal. Even if he did not have any rank 7 immortal Gu, he had rank 6 immortal Gu. Earlier, the method of extracting the mud ball of grudge chi to create the mudman Nign was an immortal method. But he did not use immortal Gu right now. Immortal Gu were the trump cards of Gu immortals. When used, they expended immortal essence. Chi Zai only had a low-grade blessed land. Unless it was a crucial moment, he would not use immortal Gu. Of course, immortal essence was not the main reason. The most important reason was that once he used immortal Gu, the information would be known by the enemy. The number and specific types of Gu worms that a Gu master owned were confidential secrets. Once intelligence was leaked, the Gu master could be countered using specific means. The same applied to Gu immortals. During an initial battle, without knowledge of the background of one another, Gu immortals would try to probe each other first. While Chi Zai was probing Fang Yuan was also probing him. All sorts of mortal killer moves were used by Fang Yuan. Together with his handsome appearance, Chi He's attention was greatly captured. Similar to Chi Zai, even though Fang Yuan had immortal Gu, he could not use them casually. Even though the rank 7 sword path immortal Gu were powerful, Fang Yuan only had rank 6 green grape immortal essence. This was inferior to that of the rank 7 Gu immortal Chi Zai. If not for Fang Yuan joining Langya sect, he would not have enough immortal essence stones to replenish his immortal essence. He would lose this battle for sure. Both sides fought continuously, attacking and defending at various times. The commotion was huge. Chi He watched unblinkingly, gasping in her mind. Unavoidably, Chi Zai was gradually falling into disadvantage against Fang Yuan. No matter how impressive mortal killer moves were, they did not have immortal Gu in them. Thus, the amplification from Chi Zai's Dao marks was very limited. They could not exceed the level of effect from using an immortal Gu. In the long history of humanity, only one mortal killer move was publicly known to match immortal Gu when activated. That was the white bone chariot that proud bone demon Lord Xianxia created. This person was a rank 8 demonic path Gu immortal. He was proud for a good reason. In this particular achievement, none of the 10 venerables could match him. Even though immortal venerables and demon venerables were invincible, they were not omnipotent. Specialists tackled their own fields. In the past, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable had asked Long Hair Ancestor to refine Gu for them. In contrast, even though Fang Yuan's Dao mark accumulation was not as high as Chi Zai, he had a large number of methods, and because the amplification towards mortal killer moves was limited, he could deal with his opponent. Thus, gradually, Fang Yuan attacked more and defended less, gaining the initiative. Chi Zai was fully aware of the battle situation in his mind. He frowned and began his counterattack. Battlefield killer move, Chi Lockdown. Immediately, the surrounding area was sealed, air was immobilized, forming a translucent temporary battlefield. Fang Yuan smiled. He was not nervous. This battlefield killer move was only mortal level. It had little threat towards Gu immortals like him who had immortal Gu. Only if they were a rank 6 Gu immortal without immortal Gu would they feel like this was a huge threat. And Fang Yuan already had this kind of battlefield killer move. Immediately, he used a signature move of Shui Song Zi, battlefield killer move Snow Domain. At once, Chi Lockdown was pushed aside, as coldness seeped into the surrounding air. Chi He could not hold it in anymore. She gasped out loud. In front of her eyes, the battlefield had been split into two. One was an icy domain, the other had motionless air. Chi He's perspective was still that of a mortal. This type of battlefield killer move, even though it was mortal level, was the trump card of every powerful mortal force. Unless it was an emergency, they would not use it normally, otherwise, they might get countered if enemies gained intelligence on it. Just now, she witnessed two battlefield killer moves used in front of her. She felt that this trip was worth going on. She was satisfied with this eye-opening experience. Seeing that Fang Yuan was still at ease, Chi Zai lost his patience. He took the lead to activate his immortal Gu. He was a vigilant person. He did not use an immortal killer move, he only activated the immortal Gu. A rank 6 Chi Path Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not know what it was. Qi Zai was not stupid enough to use it while calling out the Immortal Gu's name. Once the Immortal Gu was activated, the entire battlefield changed drastically. The Qi lockdown battlefield dissipated, turning into fuel for the Immortal Gu. Snow Domain could not resist it, a long rope of Qi invaded it and pierced through. This long rope of Yin Qi coiled around like a venomous jade snake. It was several meters long, assaulting Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sighed, using his rank 7 sword escape Immortal Gu. Whoosh! Immediately, he seemed to have turned into a sharp sword, piercing the air and flying away. So fast! Qi He opened her mouth, extremely shocked. In the blink of an eye, Fang Yuan had flown almost beyond her vision. It was a rank 7 movement Immortal Gu after all. It had spectacular speed. Qi Zai was shocked too. He had estimated that Fang Yuan was a Gu immortal specializing in snow path, wind path, or dark path. After all, the mortal killer moves that he used earlier were mostly from these 3 paths. But when Fang Yuan used his Immortal Gu, it was sword path. And it was a rank 7 sword path Immortal Gu. What is this? He is not a transformation path Gu immortal, but a sword path Gu immortal. Qi Zai felt like his brain was frying. After probing for so long, he had thought that he found out some details about Fang Yuan. But when he used his true methods, Fang Yuan actually displayed a rank 7 sword path Immortal Gu. And he flew so quickly. If this were in the past, I could only look on and sigh. It is a pity that you are unlucky. Not long ago, I completed the immortal killer move that I had been designing for 3 years. Qi Zai snickered, whistling as he opened his mouth. At the same time, aura burst out of his body. The aura surrounded him and Qi He, and penetrated into the Qi Grand Lion's body. The Qi Grand Lion cried out in pain. Its eyes were red as it charged towards Fang Yuan. Under the effect of Qi Zai's immortal killer move, the Qi Grand Lion's speed was astonishing. In less than a few minutes, the Qi Grand Lion carried the 2 Qi clan Gu immortals and chased up to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan saw this and felt a headache. Qi Zai used his Immortal Gu again, summoning the long rope of Yin Qi. Very evidently, it was the same Immortal Gu as before. The Yin Qi rope coiled and flew towards Fang Yuan, rapidly getting closer. He did not use any other immortal killer moves, just a rank 6 Immortal Gu. Is it because his movement killer move has a lot of Gu worms in it, he has to focus his attention on it? Fang Yuan's eyes shined. During the moment of crisis, his mind was still calm. He thought about it as he displayed his deep foundation in fighting. When activating Immortal Gu, the aura of the Gu worm would leak, but when activating immortal killer moves, the leaked aura would be much more complex. Thus, Qi Zai easily noticed that Fang Yuan's Immortal Gu was rank 7 and sword path. And Fang Yuan could also easily notice that Qi Zai was using just the rank 6 Immortal Gu alone. Of course, this was a typical case. It did not hold true all the time. Some special methods could conceal the aura of Immortal Gu and mislead the enemy. Flying Sword Gu. Fang Yuan pointed as his Immortal Gu shot out. Flying Sword Immortal Gu was peerlessly sharp. The Yin Qi rope was cut into pieces easily. Qi Zai's heart shook. He was shocked. Why does he have another rank 7 sword path Immortal Gu? Is he really a sword path Gu immortal? Then, why did he use all those mortal killer moves? Why are both his Immortal Gu rank 7? Don't tell me, he is a rank 7 Gu immortal, and he is purposely concealing his aura to be rank 6 so that he can pretend to be weak when preying on others. Qi Zai could not guess Fang Yuan's actual situation. He had a vigilant nature and a tendency to think deeply. The more he analyzed, the more shocked he got. He was scaring himself. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1042, If Heavens Will Finds Trouble, Cut Down the Trouble. Chapter 1042, If Heavens Will Finds Trouble, Cut Down the Trouble. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Qi Zai's mind was churning with thoughts, his expression turned grim. Fang Yuan was also frowning deeply. He had used Flying Sword Gu earlier to destroy the Yin Qi, but it had recovered in an instant. The Yin Qi rope flew towards Fang Yuan again. It was not going to stop until it coiled around Fang Yuan. Flying Sword Gu might be strong, but against an obstacle that can disperse and gather at will, it cannot take it down. Fang Yuan had a realization. Earlier, when dealing with the desolate beast mud monster, he had such a feeling as well. Now, facing a Qi Path Gu immortal, this feeling emerged in him again. Of course, this was because he lacked a relevant killer move. If he had a sword path killer move that could help Flying Sword Gu to scatter its attacks instead of focusing on one point, his problems would be resolved. Actually, Fang Yuan had anticipated this situation. Thus, he used Sword Escape Immortal Gu and tried to retreat. But he did not think that the other party would have a movement killer move to chase him. Fang Yuan fell into disadvantage. Earlier, during the probing, he had the upper hand because of his countless mortal killer moves. But now, after using Immortal Gu and Immortal Killer moves, they were fighting for real, he got into a disadvantage very quickly. The other party was a rank 7 Gu Immortal, his cultivation level was higher than Fang Yuan. It was to be expected that Fang Yuan could not beat him. In fact, it was already not easy to get to this point. I only have 2 Immortal Gu, while he is rank 7 with higher cultivation level than me and has more methods. If he has an Immortal Battlefield Killer move, even if I have Flying Sword Immortal Gu, I would not be able to break out. I cannot stay here. Sword Escape. Fang Yuan activated this rank 7 Immortal Gu again, flying into the sky. Heh, he is very vigilant. Qi Zai snorted coldly. His fighting style was to drain his opponent's resources and draw out the battle. When the Yin Qi rope breaks, the aura would disperse, and as time passes, the entire battlefield would favor Qi Path more. By then, even if Qi Zai did not use Immortal Gu, his strength would be higher, and he would be able to spend less Immortal Essence. It was a very good strategy that benefited him. But Fang Yuan had already decided to fly away and escape after a short battle. Every round was basically at a new location. Qi Zai could not accumulate his advantage. Gu masters had limited movement speed, they were often restricted to fighting at a particular place. But Gu immortals could travel far, moving thousands of li easily. They were different from Gu masters. Thus, it was easy to defeat a Gu immortal, but very difficult to kill them, unless one had an immortal level battlefield killer move to trap them. However, these types of battlefield killer moves took time to set up. When Gu immortals fought, they could only set up the arrangements in secret if they were in front of the enemy. They had to conceal their actions for the trap to succeed. Or like the time when Fang Yuan dealt with He Cheng, he set up the battlefield killer move in advance, luring his enemy into it. Even though Fang Yuan escaped, Qi Zai had an immortal killer move to chase him. Fang Yuan had slaughtered Ni clan village. This was a place which Qi Zai was in charge of. If he let Fang Yuan go, he would have to be held to account for this. Most importantly, Qi Zai was afraid that Fang Yuan was a descendant of the other clans. In this 1,000-year bet, Qi clan was already going to win. At this juncture, he could not allow unexpected mishaps to occur. Thus, Qi Zai had to investigate this matter. He could not let it go. After Fang Yuan escaped, he realized that Qi Zai had chased after him. How deep is his enmity? Why is he chasing me like this? Fang Yuan was perplexed. In his previous life's memories, Ni clan did not have any Gu immortals. This was why Fang Yuan acted so unrestrained. To think that he actually attracted the attack of Gu immortals, and there were 2 of them, one rank 6 and one rank 7. Fang Yuan could not guess Qi Zai's motives. Because he knew nothing about the bet between the 5 xiangs. He could only retreat while fighting. Each time, he would use Flying Sword Immortal Gu to engage in a short fight before using Sword Escape Immortal Gu to retreat. After many rounds of battle, Fang Yuan saw some details gradually. The rank 6 Gu immortal beside him is behaving strangely, she is likely a newly ascended Gu immortal. She calls the rank 7 Gu immortal great uncle, the two of them should be blood-related family members. This rank 6 Gu immortal is not a threat. If she could attack, she would have done so long ago to disrupt me. But in this entire battle, she has been sitting back and doing nothing. Fang Yuan obtained much information, while Qi Zai also learned a lot about Fang Yuan. This odd fellow is really a rank 6 Gu immortal. He is actually using 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. Qi Zai did not know what to say about this situation. Normally speaking, most rank 6 Gu immortals did not even have 1 rank 6 immortal Gu, they desired them greatly. This person did not have any rank 6 immortal Gu, but he took a big leap and had 2 rank 7 immortal Gu instead. But this step is too huge, I want to see how much green grape immortal essence you have to use these rank 7 sword path Gu. Qi Zai snickered internally. He was skilled in battles of attrition, with his higher cultivation level, and Fang Yuan using rank 7 immortal Gu, he was not in a rush. Fang Yuan fought as he retreated, he followed after him closely, he was scheming and hard to shrug off. Fang Yuan thought to himself, since the start of the battle, I have already used up tens of thousands of immortal essence stones. These were all obtained from Xianxia land spirit, I am wasting my sect contribution points. This person has a good plan, he wants to waste my immortal essence, I know his scheme but can do nothing about it. If he had rank 6 immortal Gu, Fang Yuan would be able to fight in a sustained battle, he would not end up in this state. With his rank 6 cultivation level, it was very difficult to make use of rank 7 immortal Gu. Qi Zai could not catch Fang Yuan, while Fang Yuan could not leave him in the dust, the situation was in a deadlock. After countless rounds of fighting, in order to maintain the situation, Fang Yuan had to continue to request for immortal essence stones from Xianxia land spirit. His Xianxia sect contribution points were nearing 0. Qi Zai was shocked, it was beyond his expectations that Fang Yuan could hold on until now. This rank 6 Gu immortal is very strange. He definitely has a huge secret, if I can obtain it, this might be the biggest fortuitous encounter in my life. Fighting to this extent, Qi Zai's gaze was getting more heated, seeing Fang Yuan's cold gaze, he felt like he was looking at a mobile treasure chest. But at the next moment, Qi Zai's gaze froze, he showed shock on his face. He thought, isn't the mountain range ahead the 5 regional mountain range? Oh no, so this is his plan. I cannot let him escape into the mountain range. This 5 regional mountain range was not simple. It was created by a rank 8 Gu immortal from southern border, his name was Tao Zhu, he was known as the restriction expert. This person cultivated restriction path, it was a branch of rule path, just like how emotion path was a branch of wisdom path. People called him restriction expert, it was because he was the expert of restriction path in this generation, it showed how incredible his attainment was. He had deep research regarding the 5 regional walls, he attempted to find a way to allow Gu immortals to travel through the regional walls easily. This 5 regional mountain range was created due to his research. Unfortunately, after he died, there had been no progress. But this 5 regional mountain range was left behind and became a special area in southern border. Fang Yuan was restricted by Qi Zai, he was trying to find a way to escape. He was very familiar with southern border, the 5 regional mountain range was his hope. Qi Zai had been thinking of draining his immortal essence, this was in line with Fang Yuan's objective, he was able to use sword escape immortal Gu and after some hurdles, he flew for hundreds of thousands of li, arriving at this place. Qi Zai had been in seclusion for some time, and because Fang Yuan was drawing his attention, he did not think of this area. He quickly took action, trying to obstruct Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan had 2 rank 7 immortal Gu, he was prepared, how could any obstruction work? Qi Zai watched grimly as Fang Yuan entered the 5 regional mountain range. He hesitated before making up his mind, saying to Qi He, sit here, I will let the Qi Grand Lion protect you, you will be safe. After I kill him, I will come and find you. Great uncle, be careful. Qi He said hurriedly. Qi Zai nodded, air currents burst out behind him as he chased after Fang Yuan, entering the 5 regional mountain range. Once he entered the mountain range, he felt a strong repulsive force directed at pushing him out. As it turned out, this 5 regional mountain range was created by restriction expert, who replicated the regional walls. Once Gu immortals enter, it would be like they were passing the regional walls. Fang Yuan chose the part of this mountain range which was shining with golden light. It was a replica of Central Continent's Saint Regional Wall. Qi Zai was a southern border Gu immortal. When he entered, he was sure to face repulsion. He knew Fang Yuan's motive. This crafty person came here, and because of his rank 6 cultivation level, he has the advantage. My rank 7 cultivation level is facing more pressure than him in here. No. This person is so suspicious. This concerns our Qi clan's ancient bet. I need to kill him. Qi Zai was firm and determined. He did not waver in the face of difficulty. Both parties stopped flying. They started to travel by foot on the 5 regional mountain range. While another chase occurred here, in Central Continent's Earth Abyss, a different battle had ended. Yingwu Xie, Tai Bai Yunsheng, and He Lu Lan were surrounding the ancient soul beast's corpse, searching for the soul core inside the soul beast's body. Soul beasts nurtured a soul core in their bodies. It was the size of an egg, but had a large number of soul path Dao marks in it. It was a top-tier refinement material. Other than this, the soul beast's corpse would disappear after some time. It had no use. Where is it? Tai Bai Yunsheng searched for the soul core. He Lu Lan said, praising with certain intent, the Gu formation set here is truly amazing. In this short amount of time, even though this soul beast had the soul howl immortal Gu, it still died. Yingwu Xie did not speak, he was frowning. This was caused by heaven's will. It lured this ancient soul beast here. Just now, even though I killed it, I had to use the Gu formation. The more I use the Gu formation, the higher the chances of getting exposed. After all, Central Continent's heavenly court will try its best to find this place. At this time, Shi Nu transmitted to him secretly. Yingwu Xie analyzed to himself, Not long ago, Langya Land's spirit used treasure yellow heaven to send dark limit immortal Gu to Fang Yuan. This immortal Gu belonged to Shadow Sect, but it had perished with Jiangyu. After that, because Langya Land's spirit created Langya Sect, he refined dark limit immortal Gu so that the sect members could have an easier time moving around in the future. This Gu can conceal aura and hide from heaven's will. Indeed. Since I am targeted by heaven's will, Fang Yuan's situation is worse. He might be facing the assault of Gu immortals now. Yingwu Xie made a casual guess, but he was actually on the mark. However, Qi Zai did not succeed in killing Fang Yuan. Both parties fought in the 5 regional mountain range. Fang Yuan was heavily injured, but because he had lower cultivation level, he could move more freely and escaped from Qi Zai eventually. Qi Zai saw that Fang Yuan had escaped. Noting that his own condition was bad, he had no choice but to return. Once he left the 5 regional mountain range, he saw Qi He. Great uncle, you are finally back. I was so worried about you. Qi Zai was prancing on the spot. Seeing Qi Zai, she quickly went up to him. Qi Zai felt warmth in his heart, but his expression turned grim. He scolded, foolish. I told you to stay with the Qi Grand Lion. Why did you not listen to me, instead coming here? This is a dangerous place. Qi Zai's movement paused. She slowly walked to Qi Zai, lowering her head, apologizing. I am sorry. Qi Zai grunted, that person is already heavily injured by me. He was lucky and escaped. But if I see him again, I will definitely not. Ugh. Qi Zai cried out. He stared with wide-opened eyes at Qi He. A dark flying sword had pierced into his forehead. The tip of the sword was pointing out from the back of his head. Qi He turned back to Fang Yuan's appearance. He smiled lightly at Qi Zai. Shock, regret, fear, all sorts of emotions filled Qi Zai's mind. But it was too late. Bam! He fell to the ground, creating a soft sound in the process. He was dead. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1043, Surprising Discovery. Chapter 1043, Surprising Discovery. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. In the 5 regional mountain range, 5 different colored lights filled the skies all year round. The entire mountain range was divided into 5 areas based on the 5 different colored lights. The dark purple light was the imitation of Southern Border's Miasma Regional Wall, the green mountain range was the imitation of Northern Plains' Licorice Regional Wall. The red portion was Western Desert's Raging Flame Regional Wall. The deep blue portion was Eastern Sea's Blue Water Regional Wall. As for the white gold mountain range, it was Central Continent's Saint Regional Wall. The rank 7 Chi Path Gu Immortal, Chi Zai, had died in the white gold region in the 5 regional mountain range. Fong Yuan let out a breath. He pulled out the flying sword Immortal Gu that was lodged in his opponent's forehead. Flying sword Immortal Gu was originally shining in silvery light, but now it was dim and did not have an aura emitting from it. This was because of the Immortal Killer move Dark Assassination. This move provided extraordinary concealment. Once used, none of the aura of the rank 7 Immortal Killer move would leak, others could not detect it. Once used, the sword attacked quickly, at a speed which one could not react to. The only weakness was that the attack range was small, the user had to be less than 100 steps away. This was truly a short distance. Ordinary Immortal Killer moves could be used across huge distances, they were incomparable. Thus, Fong Yuan had to take a risk, using Familiar Face to disguise his identity and get close to Chi Zai. The closer he got, the higher his chance of killing Chi Zai. For this, Fong Yuan had to fight with Chi Zai and purposely get injured, so as to reduce Chi Zai's suspicions. Chi Zai dying from this move was not unreasonable. Because Fong Yuan deceived him using the infamous Familiar Face. Even though it was not the original version, the core was still rank 8 Attitude Gu. When used, this Gu could influence the minds of others, allowing them to feel Fong Yuan's attitude, so as to lower their suspicions. Even though Chi Zai was vigilant and it was hard to find vulnerabilities against him, with Fong Yuan's scheming personality, he saw a weakness in Chi He instead during the battle. Using Chi He, Fong Yuan took a risk and killed a rank 7 expert with his rank 6 cultivation level. This was an incredible result. If one was an ordinary rank 6 Gu Immortal, they might wish for the whole world to know about it. But Fong Yuan only sighed in relief now, he did not show any expression of pride. After rebirth, he had gone through a lot, he witnessed Spectral Soul undergoing the myriad tribulations, killing a rank 7 Gu Immortal was already a small matter from his perspective. If you did not pursue me to this extent, I would not have taken the risk to kill you. Alright, let me see why you were so insistent on chasing me. Fong Yuan grabbed at the air as he pulled out Chi Zai's soul from his corpse. Chi Zai cultivated Chi Path, his soul was just an ordinary Gu Immortal soul, it was not outstanding. After dying, he was not like those from Shadow Sect, even though his soul was angry and unwilling, struggling intensely, he could do nothing against Fong Yuan's actions. Fong Yuan first inspected and ensured that this soul had no problems before stuffing him into the 9-5 Sovereign Immortal Aperture. After entering the Immortal Aperture, large numbers of Soul Path Gu worms flew towards Chi Zai's soul. Soul Search. While Fong Yuan searched the soul, he activated Familiar Face and turned into Chi Zai's appearance. He did not forget that the rank 6 Gu Immortal Chi He was still outside. Killing her would be much easier than killing Chi Zai, but to make this easier and safer, Fong Yuan decided to use the same method to assassinate Chi He as well. His Familiar Face was not the original version, without change form Immortal Gu, he could only use over 1,000 Mortal Gu to replace it. Thus, transforming his appearance was not instantaneous, he had to spend some time. After he turned into Chi Zai's appearance, he stored Chi Zai's corpse and flew out of the 5 regional mountain range. In the end, when he found Chi He, she was already dead. What killed Qi He was none other than the desolate beast Qi Grand Lion she was sitting on. This Qi Grand Lion was enslaved by Qi Zai originally. Once he died, the Qi Grand Lion regained its freedom. The Qi Grand Lion was forced by Qi Zai to travel this much, it was already hungry. If Qi He cultivated any other path, she might have survived, but she was a Qi Path Gu immortal with a number of Qi Path Dao marks, she was a delicacy to the Qi Grand Lion. Thus, as the Qi Grand Lion was hungry, it attacked her after the control over it was gone. Qi He was a newly advanced Gu immortal, how could she match the Qi Grand Lion? After a bit of resistance, she was killed by the Qi Grand Lion and eaten by it. It was pitiful, she cultivated her entire life and fortunately became an immortal, but the moment she started witnessing the glory of the Gu immortal world, before she started her journey, she ended up in the desolate beast's mouth. Fang Yuan chased after the Qi Grand Lion, using Flying Sword Immortal Gu and piercing its head in a few moves. Flying Sword Immortal Gu, which was shining in silvery light, rampaged inside the Qi Grand Lion's brain. The Qi Grand Lion fell from the sky in pain, it grimaced and cried out painfully, eventually dying after its struggle ceased. Fang Yuan felt glad when he saw this result. This was the true power of the rank 7 Flying Sword Immortal Gu. Against Gu Immortals or the Qi Grand Lion, once Flying Sword Immortal Gu dealt a critical strike through piercing, it could deal huge damage. This was unlike the desolate beast mud monster which did not have any weaknesses in its body. Fang Yuan had a vexing time fighting it. Other than feeling glad, Fang Yuan also felt a loss in wealth. This rank 7 Immortal Gu used too much immortal essence. After killing the Qi Grand Lion, Fang Yuan's expenditure rose again. He could slowly kill it without using Immortal Gu and only using Mortal Killer moves. But it would take far too long. To avoid more trouble, Fang Yuan had to deal with it quickly. After killing the Qi Grand Lion, Fang Yuan cut open its stomach and took out Qi He's minced corpse. He checked carefully, he wanted to find the crucial area near her belly, it was the place where the immortal aperture was at in the Gu immortal's body. Qi He's aged body was already chewed up by the Qi Grand Lion, after ending up in its stomach, half of the body was already dissolved. Fang Yuan looked around for a long time before his gaze flashed, he picked out a piece of flesh. Similar to Qi Zai's corpse, Fang Yuan placed it into his immortal aperture. As had been mentioned before, after killing a Gu immortal, there were two ways to benefit from it. One was to place the immortal aperture down in the 5 regions, where they would form a blessed land or grotto heaven, before attacking it and obtaining the resources inside. The other way was to place the immortal aperture into one's own immortal aperture, making the immortal aperture self-detonate, the Dao marks inside would be left behind for the victor. Fang Yuan was using the second method. After this battle, the Qi Path Dao marks in me should increase drastically. From now on, when I use Qi Path Gu worms or killer moves, the amplification effect would exceed my other paths. It is a pity that I am not skilled in Qi Path, my Qi Path attainment level is only at ordinary level. But my immortal aperture will benefit, the environment will change slowly, it would help me when I grow resources that are related to Qi Path. Fang Yuan flew into the air, concealing his traces as he flew among the clouds, thinking over his gains. Ignoring Immortal Gu. Qi Zai's soul was a huge asset, it had great value waiting to be excavated. As for how many Qi Path Dao marks he would get, Fang Yuan could not estimate it. But he knew that no matter how many Qi Path Dao marks he obtained, it could not match his other benefit. He only discovered this benefit of his new body just now, but it exceeded Fang Yuan's expectations. Other than feeling surprise and joy, he also felt doubts and anticipation. When he entered the 5 regional mountain range, he had a shocking discovery. His body was unaffected by the 5 regional mountain range. According to common sense, Fang Yuan was a southern border Gu immortal, his body had the aura of southern border. No matter what other area relating to a particular region he entered in the 5 regional mountain range, he would be affected by it. But after Fang Yuan went in, he could move freely with no obstructions. After realizing this, Fang Yuan was puzzled, but it soon turned into joy. He had a guess in his mind, this 5-regional mountain range was created by restriction expert Tao Zhu, who imitated the regional walls. If I can travel freely here, does that mean I can also pass the regional walls freely? After that, he thought about the pursuers behind him. He pretended to travel with much difficulty, like he was heavily obstructed. Now, after killing Qi Zai, and settling the matter of the Qi Grand Lion and Qi he had time to think, and realized that this was very likely. My new body is not an ordinary body, it has no parents, no origins from other people. It is formed from the rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus Gu. If it is treated as an immortal Gu, that would explain why I can freely travel across the regional walls. The 5 regional walls targeted Gu immortals, not immortal Gu. In the past, when Feng Jiugu entered Northern Plains to investigate the truth of 88 True Yang building, he sent a rank 6 information path immortal Gu to his family. It could travel across Northern Plains and Central Continent, going through 2 regional walls without obstruction. If this guess is correct, why would I need to rush and refine fixed immortal travel? Feng Yuan flew as he thought. He got closer to a regional wall. He wanted to verify this guess as quickly as possible. From his perspective, he could not confirm if fixed immortal travel was destroyed. It was only very likely because the special will had set fixed immortal travel as the first one to be destroyed. When Feng Yuan asked the current generation Ni Xiang about it, his focus was to confirm Ing Wu Xie's current situation. Secondly, he wanted to refine fixed immortal travel to pass the regional walls and return to Langya Blessed Land. Why? Firstly, Langya Blessed Land was safe. It survived 7 waves of attacks in the 500 years of his previous life. It was finally taken down by Heavenly Court after Feng Jiugu died. Secondly, a large number of his resources were inside Langya Blessed Land. He could develop in peace there. The cost of using treasure Yellow Heaven was simply too high. Lastly, a crucial immortal material, the light of the immemorial era, was needed to refine fixed immortal travel. Even though Feng Yuan had some clues, he knew that hope was small. His biggest worries now were his calamities and tribulations. He was less than 2 months away from the first earthly calamity. Fortune and disaster came together. His blessed land had such a deep foundation, its aptitude far surpassed the 10 extreme physiques. The power of his calamities and tribulations would surely be extraordinary. If my guess is correct, I should give up on fixed immortal travel. I should rush to Langya Blessed Land and prepare amply for the calamities and tribulations. In just less than 2 months. He was no longer an immortal zombie. His immortal aperture was out of this world. The calamities and tribulations were like swords resting above his neck. Feng Yuan looked at the vast clouds in the sky as he felt a strong sense of urgency. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1044, Ancient Cloud Beasts, Disaster Follows After Great Fortune. Chapter 1044, Ancient Cloud Beasts, Disaster Follows After Great Fortune. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Central Continent, Earth Abyss. Ing Wu Xie looked at the rubble in front of him with an ugly expression. Behind him were He Lulan, Tai Bai Yunsheng, and the rank 7 variant human Gu immortal Xianxia. The battle strength of 4 Gu immortals. Of course, among them Xianxia was the strongest, followed by He Lulan and Tai Bai Yunsheng. Ing Wu Xie was still an immortal zombie with some borrowed immortal Gu. He had not subdued Feng Yuan's remaining immortal Gu yet. His battle strength was the lowest. He Lulan was forced by Ing Wu Xie to surrender. She was free from the alliance agreement with Feng Yuan, and was now Ing Wu Xie's lackey. Xianxia was completely loyal to Ing Wu Xie. And Tai Bai Yunsheng, who did not know the truth, was not suspicious of Ing Wu Xie. He Lulan and Ing Wu Xie had worked together to deceive him. He was still in the dark. What is going on? Tai Bai Yunsheng looked ahead and asked in puzzlement. Xianxia replied heavily, Earth Abyss is not a tranquil environment. Tremors will appear at times within the earth. The tremors might cause a great cave-in, like what is happening here. A strange light flashed across He Lulan's eyes. This cave-in is simply too terrifying. Xianxia nodded. Yes, each cave-in Earth Abyss would be gigantic. Endless numbers of life forms would perish. The aftermath would be a huge amount of rubble stacked together with the grudge and death energy of the dead life forms and their blood, countless desolate level blood beasts, bone beasts, or even blood path and earth path wild immortal Gu would be created. Master, what do we do now? Xianxia looked ahead. After some time, he let out a breath. He was gloomy internally, thinking, this route is the safest way to leave Earth Abyss, previously created by Shadow Sect. I had just wanted to leave Earth Abyss, and at this timing, a cave-in happened. Coincidentally, it happened here, obstructing our path. Hee hee. Xianxia mentally sneered. This is the act of heaven's will. My main body defied heaven to refine Gu, resisting heaven's will, causing heaven's will to be expended greatly. But now it seems, heaven's will has already mostly recovered. I still have spring-autumn cicada with me, it has a lot of heaven's will in it. Thus, I am like a torch in the darkness from heaven's will's perspective. If I did not have investigative methods and did not slow down on purpose, I would be trapped inside the cave-in. Or if I was greedy in regards to the wild immortal Gu here and refused to leave, I might be discovered by the Gu immortals who came to investigate. Perhaps when I used the Gu formation earlier, the commotion was already detected by Heavenly Court, they have already started searching. Xianxia had obtained the guidance of his main body's will in the Red Lotus Demon Venerable True Inheritance, he had a deep understanding of Heaven's will. Heaven's will had its limits, it would be expended as well. But because its foundation was the world of the 5 regions, Heaven's will could not be destroyed entirely, it could recover at a rapid speed. Regarding Heaven's will, Fang Yuan was still kept in the dark, he was unaware and his knowledge could not compare with Xianxia. Heaven's will is so troublesome, a large portion of the reason is due to that bitch star constellation. My current body is ordinary, I need to refine fixed immortal travel to travel over the 5 regions. By gathering the remnant forces of Shadow Sect, I can accumulate enough strength to attempt to save my main body. Thinking of this, Xianxia thought of Fang Yuan again. Intense hatred rose inside him. Back then, when we designed the recipe of sovereign immortal fetus Gu, my main body thought about the 5 regional walls. Thus, Fang Yuan can not only pass the 5 regional walls now, he can freely change his aura to become a Gu immortal from any of the 5 regions. However, don't think about having an easy time. Even though you are a complete otherworldly demon, and Heaven's will cannot influence your thoughts, it can influence others and create situations to eliminate you. Also, every tribulation that you undergo is the best chance for Heaven's will to eradicate you. I hope you can survive them all until I find the opportunity to eliminate you. Even though Xianxia hated Fang Yuan, the urgent matter at hand was to save his main body's remnant soul. Right now, his main body's remnant soul was trapped in the dream realm. As everyone knew, when the soul was in the dream realm, they would slowly worn down by the dream realm. Thus, Xianxia was pressed for time greatly now. Compared to saving his main body, Fang Yuan was a minor matter. Thus, the priority of Xianxia and the others was to refine fixed immortal travel and gather their remaining forces, to return to southern border and break through the encirclement of the southern border Gu immortals around the giant dream realm, to save spectral soul demon Venerable. Southern border. Sword escape immortal Gu activated. Swoosh. Fang Yuan's body was like a sword, sharp and cutting through the sky, forming a long white cloudy line behind him. Using sword escape immortal Gu alone would not create this white cloudy line behind him. The problem was, Fang Yuan's injuries were very severe now. His injuries were so deep bones could be seen, cloud path Dao marks were gathered in them, spilling out white clouds constantly. Fang Yuan's expression was pale, he was frowning deeply. Behind him, about 10 li away, a large group of ancient cloud beasts were chasing after him. What caused Fang Yuan's injuries were these ancient cloud beasts. Even though Fang Yuan had the rank 7 flying sword immortal Gu, against cloud beasts which were similar to mud monsters, without a fixed body structure, they could not be dealt with. According to legend, Bo Qin created the immortal killer move Myriad Sword Tribulation in the past, using flying sword immortal Gu as the core to create 10,000 swords that shoot down like rain. After I return to Langyip Blessed Land, I must find immortal killer moves like this, I cannot have this weakness. Such thoughts had appeared in Fang Yuan's mind multiple times. As it turned out, after Fang Yuan found out a secret of his new body, he had a new idea, abandoning his earlier plan and wanting to pass the regional walls to get back to Langyip Blessed Land. But not long after that, he unexpectedly entered the attacking range of a group of ancient cloud beasts. Cloud beasts were extremely rare, not just in southern border, but also the other 4 regions. It was no exaggeration to say that they were nearly extinct. But Fang Yuan encountered a group of them. There were even ancient cloud beasts among them which had the battle strength of rank 7 Gu immortals. When ancient cloud beasts were stationary, they were like clouds, very hard to detect. Even though Fang Yuan was using investigative methods, he did not have investigative immortal Gu, he only had mortal killer moves. Thus, he went into the territory of ancient cloud beasts. After an intense battle, he managed to escape, but the ancient cloud beasts were unwilling to let him go. They chased after him. In his vision, a trace of purple-black color could be seen from behind a mountain range. Southern border's miasma regional wall was already within sight. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. His speed slowed drastically. He had stopped using sword escape immortal Gu. This immortal Gu was too expensive to use. Right now, Fang Yuan had already expended all of his Langyip sect contribution points. To save costs, Fang Yuan could only use sword escape immortal Gu at certain times to maintain a safe distance from the cloud beasts. Without sword escape immortal Gu, Fang Yuan used mortal killer moves. As a matter of fact, the speed of movement from them could not compare to the ancient cloud beasts. A moment later, the cloud beasts were already very close to Fang Yuan, less than 1 li away. Seeing that the cloud beasts were near, Fang Yuan had no choice but to use sword escape immortal Gu again. Whoosh! His speed rose again. He shrugged off the ancient cloud beast group. The purple-black miasma regional wall covered half of his vision. Finally, when Fang Yuan got to the southern border regional wall, he did not hesitate, entering it immediately. Zero obstruction. It was as if the miasma regional wall in front of him was an illusion. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. He clenched his fists, as expected. I was right, this sovereign immortal fetus Gu is truly mystical. From now on, even without fixed immortal travel, I can travel freely over the 5 regions. Of course, Fang Yuan was not only considering this. This can also help me fight. The battle with Qi Zai earlier is a prime example. From now on, I can lure Gu immortals into the regional walls before killing them. But his excitement only lasted for a short moment. Soon, he frowned again. Because he realized that the ancient cloud beasts behind him also went through the regional walls, with no signs of stopping the chase against him. His guess was confirmed. Fang Yuan sighed to himself, I knew it, I am actually so unlucky. Cloud beasts are nearly extinct in southern border. Even if they exist, they would only be a group of 1 or 2 desolate level cloud beasts. Groups of ancient cloud beasts like this only exist in White Heaven and Black Heaven. Seeing how white these ancient cloud beasts are, they must have flown down from White Heaven to breed their next generation. Actually, cloud beasts were a special type of life form from the immemorial 9 heavens. The cloud beasts in the 5 regions were also all from the immemorial 9 heavens. Cloud beasts had a trait. Once in a while, they would fly down from the immemorial 9 heavens, landing in the 5 regions and storing their cloud essence in the clouds in the sky. The clouds that were storing cloud essence would not dissipate unless there was a strong external force. Hundreds of years later, these clouds would turn into cloud beasts. The infant cloud beasts were all desolate level each. Once they were alive, they would follow their instincts and fly towards the sky. Passing the heavenly wind Qi wall, they would return to their origins, the immemorial 9 heavens. During this process, the cloud beasts would be obstructed by the heavenly wind Qi wall, and would be attacked by fierce beasts, as well as all sorts of natural phenomena causing danger. A very small number of them actually made it back to the immemorial 9 heavens. I was so unlucky to actually encounter a cloud beast group after they bred. This luck is truly. Fang Yuan was speechless. Logically speaking, I have already connected luck to many lucky people. Even if my body and soul are split into 2 portions, my luck shouldn't be this bad. Don't tell me, to obtain sovereign immortal fetus Gu, I expended a huge amount of luck. in this way, disaster follows after great fortune. Fang Yuan flew within the miasma regional wall as a group of ancient cloud beasts followed behind him. Fang Yuan had crashed into the place where the ancient cloud beasts stored their cloud essence, to take revenge for their offspring. The ancient cloud beasts wanted to eliminate Fang Yuan, they would not let him go. As long as Fang Yuan was still injured, the cloud beasts would pursue him. The problem was, these ancient cloud beasts could also move freely within the 5 regional walls. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1045, Fortuitous Encounter or Trouble. Chapter 1045, Fortuitous Encounter or Trouble. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Normally speaking, it was difficult for desolate beasts of the 5 regions to pass the regional walls and move to another region. These desolate beasts, ancient desolate beast and immemorial desolate beasts, could match the respective levels of Gu immortals. They involved the essence of their regions, and as such, it was very difficult for them to leave the domain of the region they had been raised and grown in. To them, the regional walls were like shackles. Comparatively, ordinary wild beasts, beast kings or mutated beasts were much more free and could move through regional walls. This group of ancient cloud beasts that were chasing Fang Yuan, however, were not raised by southern border, but originated from white heaven of the immemorial 9 heavens. The regional walls of the 5 regions had no relationship with them and did not restrict or reject them. Perhaps it was because no matter which layer of the immemorial 9 heavens it was, they all covered the whole 5 regions. This characteristic was already widely known. Previously, when spectral soul demon Venerable went against Heaven's will to refine Gu, heavenly courts Gu immortals were able to reach southern border so quickly because they had used Heaven Overseeing Tower to travel through White Heaven. Also, Fang Yuan Stargate Gu could attract the starlight of Black Heaven to travel over the 5 regions. Both, in essence, were similar to this group of ancient cloud beasts. They all used this special characteristic of the immemorial 9 heavens. Fang Yuan was rapidly moving through the regional wall. The group of ancient cloud beasts were chasing closely behind him. Fang Yuan could do nothing but let them follow. These cloud beasts were stubbornly fixed upon Fang Yuan, not willing to rest until they reached their goal. At this time, Fang Yuan couldn't help but fondly recall the benefits of fixed immortal travel. If he had fixed immortal travel, he could simply get away from these problems. Even if Fang Yuan was injured, there was a limit to the range the ancient cloud beasts could chase him. He could use fixed immortal travel to go beyond this limit. However, Fang Yuan only had Sword Escape Immortal Gu as his movement Immortal Gu. If he recklessly used Sword Escape Immortal Gu, it could increase the distance between them, but he would have to pay a huge price. Most importantly, Fang Yuan was not fully aware of the range in which the ancient cloud beasts would continue to chase him. If this range was extremely great, even if Fang Yuan spent all his assets, it might not be enough for the expenditure of activating Sword Escape Immortal Gu. Xianxia Land's spirit may be simple and unable to lie, but he has all along been planning against me. Previously, he schemed against me when I was dealing with Qizai as well. I had to pay a considerable amount to borrow Dark Limit Immortal Gu. If I impatiently try to get rid of these ancient cloud beasts, he might extort me again. After all, Luo Pa Valley, Dang Hun Mountain and Wisdom Gu are truly tempting. The regional wall in front of him suddenly turned into a deep blue color. Fang Yuan had already passed southern border's miasma regional wall and had now entered eastern sea's blue water regional wall. There was nothing to say. Fang Yuan concentrated on flying. The journey was unimpeded. The regional wall did not have creatures or any other obstructions. Because the regional walls of the 5 regions in themselves were the greatest obstruction. After flying for a while longer, Fang Yuan looked behind him. Those ancient cloud beasts were still chasing him. Cloud beasts did not have any fixed shape and continued to chase like rolling clouds, white and graceful as snow. But to Fang Yuan, they looked truly troublesome. By now, Fang Yuan had already used all his contribution points from Xianxia sect and was starting to owe Xianxia Land Spirit Immortal Essence stones. If not for these ancient cloud beasts, how could I go this far? What's going on? On the way, Fang Yuan's expression suddenly changed, his gaze enlarging in wonder. He surprisingly discovered that in this blue water regional wall, his aura was having a mysterious change. His southern border Gu immortal aura was continuously growing fainter, while the aura of an eastern sea Gu immortal was strengthening constantly. If Fang Yuan had activated familiar face, he would not have been so amazed. The key point was that he had not activated this killer move. Could it be that this new body can not only pass the regional walls of the 5 regions, but can also change my aura into the aura of that region? Fang Yuan speculated inwardly. The moment he flew out of Blue Water Regional Wall, his southern border Gu immortal aura had completely dissipated and had truly turned into one of an eastern sea Gu immortal. Fang Yuan naturally was surprised and happy. This sovereign immortal fetus Gu is truly mysterious. I am not even using familiar face and my body can actually perfectly adapt to the new region, which means I won't be pushed aside by the region's Gu immortals. But right now, it is still better for me to use familiar face. Fang Yuan gazed at the group of ancient cloud beasts following right behind him and sighed as he activated familiar face, turning into a different appearance. He had originally wanted to quietly move through Eastern Sea and return to Northern Plains. But now, with the group of ancient cloud beasts right behind him, he had naturally dispelled this idea. Such a commotion was not what Fang Yuan wanted, but he could do nothing about it. But this place is not far away from the turbulent flow sea area. Maybe I can detour around and move towards the turbulent flow sea area, and use its environment to break away from these ancient cloud beasts. Fang Yuan suddenly had an idea. His 500 years of life experience as a wanderer had given him an understanding of the various environments of the 5 regions. After pondering for a while, Fang Yuan chose to be cautious, giving up this idea. The turbulent flow sea area was like a maze. If he was careless in entering it, he might lose his freedom and be trapped himself. According to rumors, the turbulent flow sea area was a battlefield formed after a life and death battle between powerful Gu immortal experts. It was a bloody battlefield where many Gu immortal experts had fallen, leaving behind many inheritances. Many Eastern Sea Gu immortals as well as Gu immortals of Central Continent, Northern Plains and Southern Border would come to the turbulent flow sea area to search for fortuitous encounters. Unfortunately, in his previous 500 years of life, Fang Yuan had never heard of anyone obtaining any huge fortuitous encounter. On the contrary, he often heard of certain Gu immortals going missing in the turbulent flow sea area. Or that certain Gu immortals would go missing for several months or several years before they were able to free themselves and appear again in the world. The turbulent flow sea area was not dangerous, but its special environment often caused Gu immortals to be trapped and not be able to free themselves. Fang Yuan moved like an arrow, forming a straight line in the air. He did not choose the direction of the turbulent flow sea area, instead he flew straight towards Northern Plains regional wall. Sword Escape Immortal Gu was activated, gradually getting distance from the ancient cloud beasts. He had already inquired Xianxia Land Spirit for information about ancient cloud beasts, but Xianxia Land Spirit did not know much. Fang Yuan then sent out dozens of wills in Treasure Yellow Heaven to search for information on the limits of the tracking range of ancient cloud beasts, but he did not get any useful news. With no other choice, Fang Yuan could only choose to try to see if he could break free of the pursuit of these ancient cloud beasts. Making up his mind, Fang Yuan activated Sword Escape Immortal Gu unceasingly. Finally, he was able to throw off the ancient cloud beasts beyond his vision. Fang Yuan stopped Sword Escape Immortal Gu and used Mortal Killer moves to continue to fly. His speed naturally slowed. I have paid such a price, it would be good if I have freed myself of them. Fang Yuan was inwardly worried. Not seeing the ancient cloud beasts did not mean he had already gotten away from them. Existences that were comparable to rank 7 Gu immortals usually did not track using just sight. It depended on what the limit of their tracking range was. Right as Fang Yuan was worriedly gazing back, a blood-red ray of light suddenly flew over from the southeast direction. The blood-red light was soaring through the horizon, and when it sensed Fang Yuan's presence, it immediately lowered its speed before rapidly approaching Fang Yuan. A rank 6 blood path Gu immortal, and it looks like they went through a fierce battle. Fang Yuan frowned when he sensed the approaching aura. No matter what intention the other party had, Fang Yuan did not want to provoke any more trouble. He already had enough trouble on his hands. He still did not know if he had thrown off that group of ancient cloud beasts behind him, and there was also the earthly calamity which was going to approach in 2 months. Therefore, he immediately changed his direction and flew away from the approaching blood-red light. The Gu immortal in the blood-red light sensed Fang Yuan's intent, quickly shouting, "Wait! I have found a peerless fortuitous encounter in the turbulent flow sea area. As long as you can help me resolve this crisis, I am willing to use Blood Oath Immortal Gu to form a pact and share this peerless fortuitous encounter with you." Turbulent flow sea area. Peerless fortuitous encounter. There really are people who have obtained benefits? Fang Yuan was truly surprised. Right at this time, several Gu immortals appeared in the horizon, chasing after the blood-red light with surging momentum and emitting powerful auras. They seemed to have heard what the Blood Path Gu immortal had shouted to Fang Yuan. Curses after curses began to rain down. A blood path demon causing harm to the world, everyone must execute them. Anyone who associates with the demon shall be killed without mercy. Block this demon and my Tang clan will definitely reward you. No need. I, Lu Qinyu, have struck this demon with my immortal killer move, he definitely won't be able to escape. You there ahead, if you know what's good for you, get lost. In an instant, Fang Yuan was subjected to the persuasion, warnings and even curses of these Eastern Sea Gu immortals. Fang Yuan snorted. He was not someone afraid of getting into trouble, but right now, what he had to do was hurry to Langyip blessed land and deal with his immortal aperture's earthly calamity. He changed his direction, moving away directly from the Blood Path Gu immortal. The Blood Path Gu immortal felt very anxious, he had already reached his own limits, Fang Yuan was his only hope to survive. When Fang Yuan retreated, he also changed his direction, flying rapidly towards Fang Yuan. If you can help me, I am willing to hand this fortuitous encounter to you completely. He cried out. Fang Yuan sneered, retreating without hesitation. Seeing this, one of the Eastern Sea Gu immortals laughed loudly, "That's right. Smart guy, you know how to judge the situation, get lost quickly." Someone else also called out, "We might as well help one another, lend a hand and we will definitely reward you after this." Fang Yuan's brows slowly started to furrow. He only wanted to quietly return to Langyip blessed land, why were there troublesome matters occurring one after the other? He himself did not want to engage in these troublesome matters, but they instead were taking the initiative to follow him. This is the crucial information regarding the inheritance, if you obtain it, your cultivation will definitely advance rapidly and you'd become a superior existence among immortals. The Blood Path Gu immortal threw an information path Gu worm towards Fang Yuan, attempting to lure him. Fang Yuan screamed, "Screw off." With a wave of his hand, a powerful burst of wind destroyed the Gu worm. At the same time, he rapidly charged towards the sky. The Blood Path demonic cultivator was not able to plot against Fang Yuan, and seeing this hopeless situation, he suddenly shot a streak of strange light towards Fang Yuan. "I have already handed the crucial part of the inheritance to this person. If you guys want to get the fortuitous encounter, killing me will be of no use." The Blood Path demonic cultivator yelled loudly before flying away in the opposite direction. The streak of strange light was extremely fast and soon neared Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan snorted, he very much was unwilling to provoke trouble, he shouted in a stern voice, "I have important matters to deal with, do not provoke me." Saying this, he simultaneously activated Sword Escape and Flying Sword, these two rank 7 Immortal Gu. Sword Escape increased his speed while Flying Sword Immortal Gu shattered the strange light. Ah, 2 rank 7 Immortal Gu. Who is this person? Fang Yuan's power had suddenly erupted, the group of immortals were astonished, their expressions changed in an instant. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1046, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 1/3. Chapter 1046, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 1/3. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan's aura was only at rank 6, before he took action, there did not seem to be anything special about him. Furthermore, after retreating repeatedly, the Eastern Sea Gu immortals involuntarily started to look down on him. But once he took action, everyone was shaken. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals froze in their tracks. They reassessed Fang Yuan. They saw Fang Yuan wearing white clothing with his long hair fluttering in the wind. Graceful and handsome, he had quite a disposition. Right now, Fang Yuan had an angry expression, like the brewing of a thunderstorm. His killing intent was like a blizzard, giving people a suppressive feeling. There were numerous Eastern Sea Gu immortals, but they all became silent. They turned around and targeted the Blood Path demonic immortal instead. This Blood Path demonic immortal wanted to escape, but his injuries caused his speed to fall. After some time, he was killed by the group of Gu immortals. Based on this, he was indeed at his wit's end. No wonder he threw away the fortuitous encounter and tried to survive by using Fang Yuan. After killing the Blood Path demonic immortal, one of the Eastern Sea Gu immortals, a rank 7 that had taken the lead, Lu Qinyu, spoke heavily. The imprint is not on him. Another rank 7 Gu immortal reacted, saying loudly to Fang Yuan, please wait. Fang Yuan had 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. The immortals' impressions of him had changed. They no longer acted so rudely towards him like before. They looked at each other, before flying towards Fang Yuan imposingly. Fang Yuan floated in the air, sneering without speaking. Friend. The rank 7 Gu immortal stopped. Partway through, he could not continue his words. The imprint to open up the inheritance was extremely important, but it was missing now. The biggest suspect was Fang Yuan. But there was no way Fang Yuan would let them search his body. Looking at his immortal aperture was even more impossible. It was a huge taboo. If Fang Yuan was an ordinary rank 6 Gu immortal, with so many people on their side, it was okay to request it. But Fang Yuan had 2 rank 7 immortal Gu, and this was only what he showed on the surface. Zhou Li, what are you afraid of? The third rank 7 Gu immortal waved his long sleeves as he stepping forward. He had a cold expression, his gaze was sharp. He stared at Fang Yuan, saying, I am a Gu immortal of Eastern Sea's Tang clan, Tang Song. This matter is difficult to resolve peacefully today. But I have a way. As long as you follow it, you can prove your innocence. Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan laughed loudly, prove my innocence? Why do I need to prove my innocence? As he laughed, his battle intent surged. It seems that all of you think I am afraid of battle. Fang Yuan said in an ominous tone. The expressions of the Eastern Sea Gu immortals changed. Fang Yuan squinted. It is laughable, you are being deceived but you remain ignorant. Lu Qinyu, you killed that Blood Path demonic immortal, you have already obtained the inheritance imprint, but you are trying to frame me now, you are really scheming. This. The immortals froze again. Many people turned to look at the rank 7 Gu immortal Lu Qinyu. Lu Qinyu looked at Fang Yuan with an angry expression, but he was thinking, impressive. This person has a sharp tongue. He is rank 6 but has 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. Who in the world is he? Since when did Eastern Sea have such a person? I actually don't know who they are. At the same time, he called out, everyone, don't forget about our agreement. What kind of person am I? Why would I possibly deceive you? Fang Yuan chuckled, what agreement? I know that regardless of the Information Path Alliance agreement, it can be broken using Information Path methods. As for what kind of person you are, I only know that in the face of huge profits, people change and cannot be trusted. Fang Yuan's words were logical. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals hesitated even more. Lu Qinyu flew into a rage, pointing at Fang Yuan. I saw him throw the inheritance imprint to you. The others also saw that I slashed it. Fang Yuan rapidly replied. He he he. Lu Qinyu laughed sinisterly. There are many ways in the world to create illusions. Who knows what methods you use to keep the imprint secretly? Fang Yuan raised his head and sighed, saying in a dark tone, I have a mission from First Supreme Elder. I did not want to create trouble. But if it is like this, let's fight. Hearing the words First Supreme Elder, many of the Gu immortals' pupils shrunk. They thought, so this person is not a lone cultivator, he has a super force behind him. No wonder he has 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. At once, their wariness rose again. Especially the lone cultivators, they operated independently and did not have a force to defend them, they did not want to offend a huge force. Hold it. At this moment, Tang Song stood out. I can guarantee on my Tang clan's reputation, as long as you cooperate with our investigation, if the imprint is not with you, we will let you go. Tang clan was a super force in Eastern Sea, it was equivalent to Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. Tang clan. Fong Yuan laughed coldly, his eyebrows raised as the silvery flying sword Immortal Gu flew around him. That's very amazing, huh? Do you think my clan will be afraid of your Tang clan? Hee, in that case, let's see what your Tang clan can do. Before he finished speaking, Fong Yuan used flying sword Immortal Gu, attacking the rank 7 Gu Immortal Tang Song. Tang Song did not expect Fong Yuan to strike so suddenly, he was caught off guard, quickly getting into a disadvantage under Fong Yuan's attacks. The other Eastern Sea Gu Immortals decided to look on from the side. This person is not afraid of Tang clan, he has a huge background. Tang clan might be an overlord in Eastern Sea, but it also has enemies like Shen clan and Su clan. Is this person from one of those two clans? Since he is attacking Tang Song, that is a good thing. We can stay on the sidelines and watch their methods. If there is a future battle, we will be able to prepare. These Eastern Sea Gu Immortals were not united. Earlier, they only worked together to capture the Blood Path demonic immortal. Fong Yuan's words and actions caused doubts among them, resulting in division among these immortals. He picked his opponent with specific reasons. If he chose a rank 6 Gu immortal, others would think he was depending on 2 rank 7 immortal Gu to bully a weaker opponent. Only by choosing a rank 7 Gu immortal could there be deterrence. As for why he chose Tang Song, it was because Fong Yuan observed that he was the only rank 7 Gu immortal with a super force behind him. Lone cultivator Gu immortals did not want to offend super forces, and because super forces had many assets to protect and matters to take care of, they were wary of lone immortals. Thus, as someone in an organization, Tang Song spoke and acted with many concerns. After all, he was representing not just himself but his Tang clan as well. Both sides fought for a long time. After more than 10 rounds, Tang Song was still at a disadvantage, he was breaking out in cold sweat. Flying Sword Immortal Gu was very sharp, while Tang Song was a Sound Path Gu Immortal with insufficient defensive methods, he could not block Flying Sword Immortal Gu, he could only evade it. He was furious and startled. A Grand Rank 7 Gu Immortal was being forced to this extent by a Rank 6, his face was completely gone. Tang Song had a grim expression as he thought, to salvage my face, I have to use that Immortal Killer move to capture this rank 6 Gu Immortal alive. In that case, my display of weakness earlier can be thought of as a battle tactic. But this Immortal Killer move was not easy to activate, it comprised 490 Gu worms. Tang Song had to deal with Fong Yuan's attacks while concentrating on the Gu worms in his Immortal Aperture, and slowly forming his killer move. This Flying Sword Immortal Gu might be useless against mud monsters and cloud beasts, but it is really useful against Gu Immortals. Once it pierces the head or heart, they would die. Back then, Bo Qing dominated Central Continent and was known as the strongest person under rank 9, this indicates some of the power of Flying Sword Immortal Gu. Fong Yuan sighed internally. Even though he had the advantage, he had not become careless. Tang Song was a rank 7 Gu Immortal, he had a deeper foundation than Fong Yuan. But because Fong Yuan attacked first, he lost the initiative. But currently it was a dangerous situation, the longer it dragged on, the harder it was for Fong Yuan to escape. Most importantly, he could not use Dark Assassination. Because he had to maintain the pressure on Tang Song, Fong Yuan attacked first and pressured him. If he had any time to regain the initiative and use his methods freely, the situation would be different. Thus, Fong Yuan had to use Flying Sword Immortal Gu continuously. Flying Sword Immortal Gu was the core of Dark Assassination, it had to be used together with Dark Limit Immortal Gu. After some time, by combining it with other supplementary Mortal Gu, Dark Assassination could be unleashed. I have few Immortal Gu now, if I had some more. At this time, Fang Yuan sensed something, his movement stopped as he looked behind him. The group of ancient cloud beasts was already within sight. Seeing the group of ancient cloud beasts, Fang Yuan did not feel irritation, he felt joy. The opportunity he was waiting for had arrived. What is going on? What are these things? They have such strong auras. Cloud beasts, oh heavens, so many cloud beasts. These are ancient cloud beasts, why are there so many of them? The Eastern Sea Gu immortals noticed the ancient cloud beasts, they were puzzled and shocked. Tang Song's focus was on Fang Yuan, seeing that Fang Yuan had relaxed, he was overjoyed, he immediately sped up in completing the immortal killer move he was preparing, it was already 1/3 done in this short time. Soon. Once I use this move to capture you alive, I'll deal with you personally. Tang Song gritted his teeth. Fang Yuan shouted, "Humph! I lured these ancient cloud beasts out from White Heaven. It was to cooperate with the other supreme elders to lure these ancient cloud beasts into a trap and capture them. You people obstructed us, we will deal with you one by one later. If you want to die now, follow me." Saying so, Fang Yuan left Tang Song, flying in the sky. The immortals were shocked but relieved. Fang Yuan's injuries were caused by the ancient cloud beasts. And the ancient cloud beasts were chasing him. These were all evidence for his words. After all, ordinary cloud beasts were very rare, this group of ancient cloud beasts most likely came from White Heaven. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1047, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 2/3. Chapter 1047, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 2/3. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Chase, or not? The Eastern Sea Immortals looked at each other. The first to react was rank 7 Gu Immortal Tang Song. Don't think of leaving. He moved like lightning, chasing after Fang Yuan as he shouted. Fang Yuan snorted, "Don't go overboard. Don't think I am afraid of you, if not for my important mission, I would kill you here." Tang Song surged with anger, "Bullshit." His immortal killer move was almost ready to be used, he was about to salvage his face, but at this moment, Fang Yuan ran away. He actually ran. Tang Song was unwilling to let him go, he chased relentlessly. His actions caused the stunned Eastern Sea Gu immortals to pursue him as well. Fang Yuan's heart sank, but he shouted, "Those who are not afraid to die can come, ahaha." Tang Song yelled after him, "Those who are afraid to die are cowards. Chase him, the inheritance imprint is with him, we cannot let him join up with the other Gu immortals. Only by capturing this person can we obtain the inheritance of the great expert." With such great profits in sight, the Eastern Sea Gu immortals chased with even faster speed after hearing that. Fang Yuan muttered, "Not too stupid," before pointing his finger, as Flying Sword Immortal Gu flew out and shot at Tang Song. Tang Song was shocked, he tried to dodge. But because he was distracted, his immortal killer move was interrupted and he had to start all over again to use it. Tang Song almost stomped his feet in anger. The rank 7 Gu immortal Lu Qinyu passed him and chased after Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan took a look and tried to sow discord, "Lu Qinyu, the inheritance imprint is in your hands, but you are chasing after me." Such incredible acting. Lu Qinyu was furious, "Don't run if you have guts. Against you people, why would I need to run, it would be ruining our clan's face." Fang Yuan shouted, "Continue chasing me if you have the guts, we'll see who is the most unlucky one in the end." Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan appeared fearless, he was so arrogant even though he was being pursued by so many Eastern Sea Gu immortals. In contrast, the Eastern Sea Gu immortals became increasingly hesitant. There was a key point, who had the crucial inheritance imprint? What Fang Yuan said earlier was highly possible. And in addition, it seemed that Fang Yuan had reinforcements. And to hunt such a huge group of ancient cloud beasts, they must have set up an immortal level battlefield killer move, or even mobilize their immortal Gu house. This was quite possible. If we enter an immortal battlefield killer move, it would be troublesome. Tang Song was a member of Tang clan, a super force. He might not be afraid, but these Eastern Sea Gu immortals were lone immortals. These lone immortals were not doing too well, otherwise, they would not have gone into the turbulent flow sea area to find some kind of opportunity. After all, time was very precious for Gu immortals. First, a Gu immortal fell to the back of the group before gradually separating from the pursuing group. Next, more and more Gu immortals imitated their actions. Gu immortals were not stupid, they were astute figures. The Gu immortals who fell behind were not willing to let Fang Yuan go, but they were afraid of falling into a battlefield killer move, and being unable to leave. Thus, they all decided to let others take the lead and scout the route. These guys, they're useless. Lu Qinyu, who was the closest to Fang Yuan, noticed this and mentally cursed, but his actions also became hesitant. He was a lone cultivator and had obtained an opportunity in the past to become immortal. Even though he had immortal Gu, they were rank 6. Against the immortal battlefield killer move of a super force, he might not be able to escape. Even Tang Song was hesitant. He reserved some of his attention and energy to deal with any reinforcements of the enemy. Thus, a strange chase was created. Fang Yuan flew in front, yelling and cursing angrily. He was in a weaker position, but he had an arrogant attitude. Behind him were a bunch of Eastern Sea Gu immortals. Even though they had the advantage in numbers, they were restrained, they displayed a weaker attitude. Most of the time, Fang Yuan was using mortal killer moves to fly. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals behind him were also using mortal killer moves to follow him. Fang Yuan's thoughts were far less confident than his actions, so troublesome. Looking at this situation, I can only escape to the regional wall and use the advantage in that environment to break free from these pursuers. Lu Qinyu. Fang Yuan took note of this name. Fang Yuan had not received any inheritance imprint. He might have destroyed it, but it was also very possible that was only a deceptive move by the blood path demonic immortal. The true inheritance imprint could already be in Lu Qinyu's hands. If that was the case, Lu Qinyu's acting skills were almost on par with Fang Yuan's. He was a deeply shrewd opponent. In the sky high up in the clouds. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With Fang Yuan at the lead, a group of Eastern Sea Gu immortals flew in the sky while moving like flashes of lightning. There was a huge commotion. Tang Song had secretly been preparing his immortal killer move. It could already be used. He held in his excitement as he accelerated, surpassing Lu Qinyu and getting closer to Fang Yuan. This sudden action made Fang Yuan extremely alert. He immediately used sword escape immortal Gu and raised his speed, flying away. Damn it! Tang Song mentally cursed. His rank 7 immortal killer move had greater effect when the distance was short. With his current distance from Fang Yuan, there was no chance to succeed in capturing him. Fang Yuan activated sword escape immortal Gu and raised his speed. The Gu immortals behind were internally grumbling. The 3 rank 7 Gu immortals were still fine. They could use rank 6 immortal Gu or immortal killer moves to maintain the distance. But those ordinary rank 6 Gu immortals who were at the bottom of the Gu immortal world did not even have any rank 6 immortal Gu. They were quickly left behind. Seeing that Fang Yuan was flying away, rank 7 Gu immortal Zhou Li was anxious. I have a way, I can bring both of you along with me at great speed. But I need to focus and cannot be distracted. I hope you can restrain him. Lu Qinyu and Tang Song looked at each other, rapidly agreeing. Tang Song was the first to agree. These people had an agreement already. They had a basis to trust each other. Zhou Li roared as countless phantom waves appeared around his body. These phantom waves moved his body as his speed rose. An immortal killer move. Fang Yuan's gaze focused, but Lu Qinyu and Tang Song cheered. They stepped on the phantom waves and allowed the waves to move them forward. The two thus had free time to start attacking. Fang Yuan's situation became bad. Earlier, in the process of chasing, the Gu immortals behind attacked. But because Fang Yuan was always using immortal Gu to disrupt them and also dodge them, he was agile and hard to hit. The Gu immortals behind him could not succeed. But now, two Gu immortals had the free time to focus on attacking, they could use more precise methods and possessed bigger threat. Fang Yuan's pressure intensified. After a while, he was injured. Well done, this person has only so much capability, he only has 2 rank 7 immortal Gu. His other methods are all mortal killer moves. Zhou Li said. He was injured to begin with, he was likely hurt by those ancient cloud beasts. Lu Qinyu said darkly. Even though he has rank 7 immortal Gu, he is only a rank 6 Gu immortal, how much green grape immortal essence can he expend? Tang Song said, smiling in the process. As long as this progressed, they were sure to win. Their only concern was the mysterious force behind Fang Yuan and a possible ambush. Thus, they were holding back, and did not deal any fatal blows. Fang Yuan's situation was quite dangerous. If this continued to progress, he might die here. Gu immortals were intelligent and could form complex ideas, they were much harder to deal with compared to the simple-minded ancient cloud beasts. If they really fought head-on, these Eastern Sea Gu immortals were not the match of the ancient cloud beasts. But their threat towards Fang Yuan was much higher than the ancient cloud beasts. Fang Yuan had never banked on the two forces fighting each other. Gu immortals were not stupid, they had to consider the costs and benefits before killing even a cloud beast, not to mention this group of ancient cloud beasts. This means, I can only rely on the 5 regional walls. Even if something gets exposed, I have no choice. Fang Yuan slightly changed his direction and flew towards the closest regional wall. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals behind him chased. Along with that group of ancient cloud beasts. Soon, the regional wall appeared in Fang Yuan's sight. The regional wall was like a fence surrounding Eastern Sea. Fang Yuan had come out of the regional wall earlier, he was originally very close to it. It was just that he was flying straight ahead as he wanted to save time traveling. If he flew by following the edges of the regional wall, he would have to take a long detour. But who would have expected such trouble to appear from nowhere? Oh no, he is going to enter the regional wall. Lu Qinyu realized Fang Yuan's intention and shouted. Good plan. We are rank 7 Gu immortals, after we enter the regional wall, we will face greater restrictions than him. Zhou Li said. Quickly attack, don't let him succeed. Tang Song was anxious. The two immortals' attacks changed. They attacked fiercely, Fang Yuan could not block them all, his injuries were getting more severe, some of his bones could be seen through the deep wounds. He. He laughed instead, you dare to attack, very good, Tang clan. If I die and the clan's plans are ruined, we will not let you off. Tang Song's heart shook, you keep claiming to be part of a clan, it is just a hoax. I know Eastern Sea's righteous forces deeply, why have I never heard of you? Fang Yuan laughed again, his tone filled with hatred, Tang Song, why bother probing? I will not fall for it. This matter has to be kept a secret, I was sent out because we were afraid of external interference. Even if you kill me, I will not tell you my background. I will even self-detonate my soul, you will not be able to soul search me. Fang Yuan's words made their hearts sink. Which enemies were the scariest? Everyone had different answers to this question. But a large number of people would agree, an unknown enemy was the scariest. The enemy is hidden while you are exposed, you do not know where they are, or what they are planning against you. This was the worry of the 3 rank 7 Gu immortals. From start to finish, they did not think that Fang Yuan was lying. After all, ancient cloud beasts were too rare, why would a group of them chase after him like this? There had to be a cause. Since there was a cause, the perpetrator had to have enough confidence in their strength to take down this group of ancient cloud beasts. And in Eastern Sea, what kind of force would be able to take down this group of ancient cloud beasts? Evidently, only super forces like Song clan. Fang Yuan's words made the 3 rank 7 Gu immortals' attack slow, and he obtained some precious time to recover. The regional wall was right in front of him, Fang Yuan could almost escape, but at this time, Zhou Li attacked. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know your report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1048, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 3/3. Chapter 1048, Battle of Chase and Escape in Eastern Sea, 3/3. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The phantom waves around Zhou Li that were carrying Tang Song and Lu Qinyu rushed forward, engulfing Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan felt a strong sense of pressure. The waves were only phantom images, but he felt like he was facing a colossal tsunami. He was helpless like an ant, about to be devoured by this tide. An amazing immortal killer move. Rank 7 Gu immortals are truly hard to deal with. In the moment of danger, these two thoughts flashed across Fang Yuan's mind. Without the waves carrying them, the three immortals stopped moving. The matter is settled. Zhou Li smiled as confidence radiated in his eyes. Tang Song and Lu Qinyu looked at each other. They had guessed Zhou Li's scheme. They involuntarily looked at him in a different light, raising their opinion of him. As it turned out, Zhou Li had secretly collected information on Fang Yuan and learned about his abilities. He knew what methods were suitable to deal with Fang Yuan's capabilities. On the surface, he was helping them to fly, but in fact, he was using them to obstruct Fang Yuan while he gathered strength in the phantom waves below him. As they chased, the phantom waves got bigger and bigger, gradually creating a huge force. And now, Zhou Li attacked. He had not taken overt action previously, but once he did, it was a huge tsunami that swallowed everything. It was faster than even Sword Escape Immortal Gu, it could not be stopped. Fang Yuan had the rank 7 Flying Sword Immortal Gu, but against the phantom waves, it was ineffective, like dealing with cloud beasts and mud monsters. He still had Sword Escape Immortal Gu, but the phantom waves were already surrounding Fang Yuan tightly. Fang Yuan's room to maneuver became smaller, and Sword Escape Immortal Gu could not escape from the range of the phantom waves in time. To think that this Zhou Li appeared weak and timid on the surface, but he actually had such plans. I raised my voice at him earlier but he did not retaliate. To think that he is even more shrewd than me. Lu Qinyu felt deep wariness towards Zhou Li. Tang Song had an ugly expression. He had prepared his immortal killer move painstakingly, wanting to save his face, but he did not get a chance to do so. In the end, Zhou Li was the one who benefited. Not mentioning rank 6 Gu immortals, among those who could become rank 7 Gu immortals, who would be a simpleton. Once Zhou Li attacked, Fang Yuan was like a trapped beast. Our victory is assured. The three rank 7 Gu immortals had similar thoughts. But Fang Yuan laughed coldly. Ha ha ha, friends, why are you so foolish? You came to sacrifice your lives. In my opinion, the rank 6 Gu immortals are far smarter than you. The three immortals looked and saw that Fang Yuan did not evade. His hands were behind his back as he floated in the air, calm and composed. The three immortals' bodies shook. They cried out in their minds, "Oh no! He is fearless, is this the place where they are ambushing us?" Fang Yuan said again, "What's the name of this move? It can actually accumulate and grow in power over time, but, can it break through my clan's immortal battlefield killer move? He, I think not." These phantom waves had incredible power and could take his life, but Fang Yuan was unmoved, as if this was not a fatal killer move, but a gentle breeze instead. He even dispelled the defensive killer move on his body, lion fur armor, in front of the three immortals. Oh no! This move uses almost all my immortal Gu. It has strong attack but weak defense, if the other party attacks. Zhou Li's pupils shrunk. There was no time to think further. He subconsciously withdrew the phantom waves to defend himself. The phantom waves had already accumulated greatly and were a fatal attack, but with Zhou Li withdrawing most of the waves, only a small portion was left to deal with Fang Yuan. A gap formed as Fang Yuan made use of it. Farewell, friends. Fang Yuan activated Sword Escape Immortal Gu, flying in the sky like a burst of lightning, entering the blue water regional wall. The three immortals were stunned before feeling intense rage. This kid is so crafty, he was putting up a front. He was at his wit's end, but he acted in such a convincing manner. Let's chase him. Tang Song and Lu Qinyu were furious, they charged towards Fang Yuan again. Zhou Li's expression turned pale. After staring blankly momentarily, he slapped himself before pursuing Fang Yuan again. It was such a good situation earlier, but he messed it up. How could there still be another chance? Fang Yuan had survived narrowly. After entering the regional wall, he went deep into it. The three immortals were greatly troubled. Their higher cultivation level was a burden here. At this moment, the three immortals wished that they were just rank 6 Gu immortals. The deeper they got into the regional wall, the greater the repulsive force, and the slower their speed became. Left without a choice, the three immortals could only entrust their hope in the rank 6 Gu immortals who were still behind. But these rank 6 Gu immortals also faced a lot of obstruction. They were very different from Fang Yuan, who felt zero resistance inside. Soon, the Gu immortals were left in the dust by Fang Yuan. What cultivation level does this person have? He faces such little resistance inside the regional wall. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals were gloomy. But they did not know that Fang Yuan was purposely holding back. Fang Yuan did not want this secret to be exposed, thus, he lowered his speed and pretended to be having difficulties traveling, only causing them to be suspicious. They could not catch up to Fang Yuan, but the Eastern Sea Gu immortals were unwilling to give up. I don't believe that he can hide here and not come out. He is a rank 6 Gu immortal, flying here consumes a lot of immortal essence. I want to see if a rank 6 Gu immortal's foundation can match my own rank 7. Even though the Eastern Sea Gu immortals were unwilling to see this, reality was cruel. Fang Yuan left them farther and farther behind, even the ancient cloud beasts were catching up. After some more chaos, the Eastern Sea Gu immortals felt bitter, seeing the ancient cloud beasts surpass them in chasing Fang Yuan. These ancient cloud beasts came from White Heaven, they were unaffected by the 5 regional walls. Eventually, Fang Yuan left the investigative range of the Eastern Sea Gu immortals, they could only chase the ancient cloud beasts. The ancient cloud beasts got closer and closer to Fang Yuan. Seeing that the time was ripe, Fang Yuan activated Sword Escape Immortal Gu and raised his speed, flying away. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals chased until some people could no longer take it, they chose to give up, leaving the regional wall. So unlucky. I actually encountered such a person. We know nothing about this person's identity, it is unknown whether he really has a super force behind him or not. Tang Song and Zhou Li conversed, feeling that hope was slim. Only Lu Qinyu was not talking, continuing his chase. Brother Lu, stop chasing. He is already gone, this matter has so many issues, we should first leave and discuss it. Tang Song and Zhou Li urged. Lu Qinyu said, I have my methods for investigating. I will not rest until I catch him. Hold on, I will try again, I'll be back shortly. Saying so, he turned into a green rainbow as his speed rose, charging towards the ancient cloud beasts. Tang Song looked at the light as he said in a strange tone, it seems that Brother Lu is anxious, he even used this move. This move uses a lot of his Dao marks to activate, it has a high price, it is a trump card, he rarely uses it. In the past, he used it to escape from many strong foes. What did you say? Zhou Li's expression changed. Tang Song was staring blankly, his expression soon turned grim. The two immortals looked at each other, sensing the rage in their eyes. It was very possible that this Lu Qinyu was not chasing after Fang Yuan, but that he had secretly obtained the inheritance imprint and was trying to escape from them. After all, Fang Yuan destroyed the inheritance imprint that the Blood Path demonic immortal threw out, everyone saw that. And the person who killed the Blood Path demonic immortal was Lu Qinyu. Brother Lu, hold on. This thief is crafty, he might have help arriving, we will lend you a hand, Brother Lu. Tang Song and Zhou Li quickly chased. Lu Qinyu heard these words and moved even faster, he did not even turn back, it was like he had heard nothing. Tang Song and Zhou Li affirmed their guesses, their expressions turned grim as they swore that they would not let Lu Qinyu go. Half a month later. A figure penetrated the green licorice regional wall and entered Northern Plains. I am finally in Northern Plains. It was Fang Yuan. He was filled with fatigue, injuries covered his body. He had already healed the wounds that could be treated. But most of his injuries were caused by the ancient cloud beasts, Immortal Gu, and even Immortal Killer moves. These injuries had Dao marks in them. He had to use healing Immortal Gu to get rid of them. Fang Yuan only had 3 Immortal Gu, he could only stall his treatment. Over on Xianxia Land's Spirit's End, there should be healing Immortal Gu. Once I return, I would get to rest. Fang Yuan spurred himself on. Earlier, he had fought with the Eastern Sea Gu Immortals, and these last days, in order to escape from the ancient cloud beasts, he had used Sword Escape Immortal Gu again. He already owed Xianxia Land's Spirit a huge debt. Most importantly, because the Eastern Sea Gu Immortals were pursuing him, Fang Yuan had to travel in the regional wall. Thus, he took a long detour and consumed a lot of immortal essence. But these were not important. The important thing was the immortal aperture's calamities and tribulations. Time was running shorter, Fang Yuan's bad feeling was getting deeper. Turning around and looking back, the ancient cloud beasts' figures were already vaguely showing in the regional wall. Fang Yuan sighed as he used Sword Escape Immortal Gu, flying towards the northeast direction. Fang Yuan did not know the exact location of Xianxia Blessed Land. Earlier, Xianxia Blessed Land was near Crescent Lake, but because of Shadow Sect's attack, Xianxia Blessed Land had relocated. After contacting Xianxia Land's Spirit, he did not tell Fang Yuan the exact location of Xianxia Blessed Land, he only gave a direction. A Gu Immortal would come and pick him up. 3 days later, Fang Yuan reached the meet-up location, but no one was there. The ancient cloud beasts continued to chase him and he could only run away. After contacting Xianxia Land's Spirit, he realized that Xianxia Land's Spirit had dispatched a hairy man Gu Immortal, but he encountered human Gu Immortals along the way and was killed. Xianxia Land's Spirit could only send another person to go, but an unexpected mishap happened again. This hairy man Gu Immortal vanished mysteriously, he could not be contacted. To bring back Fang Yuan, Xianxia sect had lost 2 hairy man Gu Immortals, and they did not even manage to bring Fang Yuan back to the Blessed Land. Xianxia Land's Spirit could not bear such a loss, he told Fang Yuan the location directly. 7 days later, Fang Yuan arrived at Feng Bo Cliff. At Feng Bo Cliff, he saw the arrangements of Xianxia Land's Spirit. This was an immortal level Gu formation, its use was similar to the Green Crystal Heroes Path Zombie Alliance had. Fang Yuan used it to free himself from the ancient cloud beasts, returning to Xianxia Blessed Land. After so many troublesome circumstances, he was finally safe. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1049, Selling a Human Slave. Chapter 1049, Selling a Human Slave. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Xianxia Blessed Land, Black Hair Continent. Steel Thread City was the grandest city in Black Hair Continent. Just within the city, there were hundreds of thousands of hairy men. Not to mention the periphery of the city, with countless villages and towns around. Xianxia Blessed Land could be considered the largest paradise of hairy men in the current world. Within the Blessed Land, there were 4 continents. 3 were on the sea, with similar sizes, the 4th one was the smallest but was floating in the sky, known as Cloud Cover Continent. It was the sacred land that hairy men from the other 3 continents aspired to reach. In the trading market of Steel Thread City, there was much clamor, it was one of the most famous markets in Black Hair Continent. Today, at the southeast corner of this market, a fat and muscular hairy man walked onto the stage. On the stage, there were a ring of hairy men with muscular and hairy bodies. These hairy men had black and brown hair. This was the natural hair color of the hairy men on Black Hair Continent. The fat and muscular hairy man stepped onto the stage as the hairy men below started calling out. Among them, one asked loudly, "Kong Ba, what goods do you have this time?" The hairy man Kong Ba was a slave merchant, he specialized in selling slaves, he had a huge business, and a certain amount of fame. Kong Ba heard this and laughed, looking around. Don't worry everyone, I brought a lot of yellow-haired slaves this time, they include quasi-masters in refinement path, you will definitely be pleased. The surrounding hairy men had shining eyes, they discussed enthusiastically. Ever since Lord Immortal declared from Cloud Cover Continent that seeds would be chosen every 10 years to learn the ways of immortals, our 3 continents have been engaging in huge battles. As for how to choose the immortal seeds, it will depend on who can draw the Lord Immortal's attention in the battles between the 3 continents. Just now, our Black Hair Continent joined up with White Hair Continent to deal with Yellow Hair Continent. I heard we won several battles and captured a number of yellow hairs. I am an old man, I dare not think of becoming immortal, but I want these yellow-haired slaves as labor for my Gu refinement factory. These slaves are better than employing Gu masters, they are cheap and I control their life and death, their offspring will also continue to be my slaves. Everyone. Hairy man Kong Ba raised his hands, causing the surroundings to become quiet. I do not want to waste everyone's time, I will now bring out the first slave, everyone can have a look, bring him here. Quickly move. Behind the stage, a muscular black-haired hairy man dragged the chain in his hands. At the end of the chain, a slave was tied up, full of injuries that exposed his flesh. It was Fang Zheng, who was interrogated earlier. Fang Zheng could not resist the black-haired hairy man's brute force, he almost fell to the ground after being pulled. But when he stood up, he stared at the black-haired hairy man fiercely, with a firm and stubborn expression. Crack. The black-haired hairy man raised his whip and lashed at Fang Zheng's face. Fang Zheng felt his face turning numb, before an intense pain assaulted him. But he gritted his teeth, he swallowed the scream that he was about to utter back down his throat. You're asking for a beating, move quickly. The black-haired hairy man laughed as he stretched out his arm that was thicker than Fang Zheng's legs, he grabbed his neck and raised him up. Next, the black-haired hairy man stepped onto the stage and walked a few steps to the center, before throwing Fang Zheng down. Fang Zheng's neck was grabbed, he could barely breathe, his head was spinning. After being thrown onto the stage, he nearly fainted on the spot. He was seeing stars, his head was dizzy, he was sprawled on the ground, unable to stand up. Be careful, you idiot. Kong Ba scolded angrily. The black-haired hairy man who brought Fang Zheng did not dare to offend him, he quickly apologized. Scram! Kong Ba scolded angrily. The black-haired hairy man quickly ran down the stage. Kong Ba's expression changed instantly, turning from angry to joyous as he pointed at Fang Zheng, explaining to the hairy men, this slave is a rare breed, Kong Ba obtained him with great difficulty. These words attracted the interest of the audience. This slave is not weak at all, he has rank 5 cultivation level. Soon, someone noticed Fang Zheng's faint Gu master aura and gasped. Is this a city lord from Yellow Hair Continent? He was actually captured and had nearly all his hair shaved, who humiliated him like this? Immediately after, someone asked this curiously. In White Hair Continent, Black Hair Continent, and Yellow Hair Continent, the city lords usually has the highest authority, they had rank 5 cultivation level. In the culture of hairy men, they were proud of the hair on their bodies. Getting their hair shaved was the most cruel humiliation and punishment, in the hearts of most hairy men, it was worse than death. To make a comparison, it was like having male convicts castrated on earth. Kong Ba laughed, you all are guessing wrongly, this slave is not a hairy man, he is a pure-bred human. What? Human. He is a human. In Langya Blessed Land, hairy men were the dominant race, they rarely saw others. Many of the hairy men present were shocked, this was the first time they had heard of the rumored human. Fang Zheng had already recovered from his daze, he felt extremely uncomfortable, being watched by so many hairy men. Get up, stand properly. Kong Ba made a hooking motion with his finger. Fang Zheng lost control of his body, a formless force was controlling him, causing him to stand up on the stage. The hairy men below the stage could see him clearly now, they were conversing softly with each other, exclaiming in wonder over Fang Zheng. Kong Ba laughed, feeling very pleased. He had spent a huge amount to buy this Fangzheng, it was to create this commotion. Now, it seemed his goal had been achieved. The hairy men below the stage were talking among themselves, growing louder and rowdier. Quickly look, there's a human slave on sale there. Really? I want to see it. Go and look at this rare thing. More and more hairy men noticed this, they were gathering from all around the market. Fangzheng stood on the stage, looking down at the sea of hairy men, he was also staring widely. There was such a huge number of hairy men, this was the first time Fangzheng was seeing such a thing. He had seen hairy men in Immortal Crane's sect before, they were slaves refining Gu. He knew the situation of the 5 regions, humans were the absolute rulers, variant humans were heavily suppressed, desperately surviving in some isolated parts of the world. But now, it seemed that these hairy men were the rulers here, and humans were heavily suppressed. Where is this place? Fangzheng felt increasingly confused and puzzled. He remembered being interrogated and tortured, the prison guard told him that his brother was dead and who immortal blessed land was taken over. At first, he did not believe it, but after some interrogation and torture, he was half believing and half doubtful. Now that he saw this, his puzzlement was intensifying. Kong Ba, how much are you selling this slave for? Someone shouted. Ha ha, this much. Kong Ba raised both hands, extending all 10 of his fingers. The crowd went into a commotion, many cried out, so expensive. Kong Ba, you are robbing us. You must be crazy to think of such money. Everyone. Kong Ba raised his voice, saying loudly, this is a rank 5 Gu master, after becoming your slave, you will gain a rank 5 fighter. This is an opportunity that you may never encounter again. But there were astute figures among the hairy men under the stage. A rank 5 Gu master, it will not be easy to enslave him. That's right, to enslave an expert like this, we need at least rank 4 cultivation level. Also, this slave has clearly been tortured and interrogated, maybe he is already heavily injured. What if he dies after we buy him? Kong Ba pretended to be furious, who do you think I am? I do business based on sincerity and honesty. Look at him, take a good look. Saying this, Kong Ba walked towards Fangzheng and firmly pressed his fingers around Fangzheng's chin and lips. Fangzheng felt intense pain, his mouth opened involuntarily, revealing his teeth and lips. Look at his teeth, come, look at his skin. Kong Ba tore and with a sharp sound, Fangzheng's shirt was completely shredded. Fangzheng shuddered, he was completely naked, exposed in front of the band of hairy men. Even though he has injuries over his body, they are all superficial wounds, they can be treated. I can assure they will not result in problems. Fangzheng gritted his teeth, his eyes were spewing fire, intense anger and humiliation filled his heart, he would love to kill all of these hairy men instantly. Kong Ba chuckled, he used a twig to hold up the object in Fangzheng's groin, saying, everyone, look, this thing is still working. In the future, he can create human offspring for you, you will have an unlimited supply of slaves. Ha ha ha. The hairy men were laughing loudly. Fangzheng's face was red, he was extremely humiliated, if not for Kong Ba immobilizing him completely, he would have bitten his tongue and tried to suicide. I will buy this slave. Suddenly, a voice came from afar. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and saw a female hairy man, she had black hair all over her body, and she looked at Fangzheng with a lustful expression. Greetings to City Lord. The hairy men all knelt down, including Kong Ba. Ha ha ha. The female city lord who was twice the size of normal hairy men ordered, Kong Ba, give this slave medical treatment, clean him and send him to my home. By night time, I want to see him. As you command, our beautiful and strong city lord. Kong Ba was overjoyed, he kowtowed as he acknowledged. Fangzheng shut his eyes, losing all hope in life. At this moment, there was a thunderous sound, the world trembled. A 5-colored light shot up from cloud-covered continent in the sky, shining over the entirety of Langyup blessed land. What is happening in cloud-covered continent? Oh heavens, this is the light of the immortals, this is a huge blessing. The attention of the hairy men was drawn by this event. Everyone raised their heads and looked with curiosity, admiration, and envy. As for Fang Zheng, he was completely forgotten already. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1050, Recovering from Injuries. Chapter 1050, Recovering from Injuries. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. On this day, from cloud cover continent, a huge light burst into the sky. Light in the colors of the rainbow was shining in the sky, shooting into the sky like a beam from the heavens. It was so dazzling, all of the hairy men on black hair continent, white hair continent, and yellow hair continent only needed to raise their heads to see it. This is the work of immortals. The hairy men sighed. If this were in the past, the three continents would only have rumors and vague legends of Gu immortals. But after Langya Land's spirit's personality changed, the situation changed completely. Langya Land's spirit sent out orders, imitating the imperial court contest, to stir up competition in the three continents to select elite candidates to cultivate in cloud cover continent. The war between the three continents affected all hairy men, and the immortal miracle of cloud cover continent stirred the passions of the hairy men. Becoming an immortal. Black Hair King looked at the sky, his eyes shining with brilliant light. As the light faded, Black Hair King made up his mind, send out my imperial decree. The immortal miracle is an auspicious sign. We will hold a martial competition in remembrance of this. The winner of the martial competition will be able to choose a treasure from our treasury. Yes. The guard who received the order answered as they left in a bowing position. Black Hair King's idea was not new, he had thought about it for a long time already. The war between the three continents made Black Hair King realize that the mindset of Gu refinement being important above all needed to be abandoned. To deal with the future battles, he needed elite Gu masters skilled in combat. With Black Hair King's order, a huge commotion spread out from the imperial city, rapidly projecting outwards and growing larger and larger. Soon, half a month later, Steel Thread City had an esteemed guest. This guest was received by Steel Thread City Lord personally, because he was also a city lord himself. Huafeng City Lord, is there anything you need by coming here? During the banquet, while drinking, Steel Thread City Lord asked. Steel Thread City Lord, you are an insightful person, you know my intentions in coming here already. Huafeng City Lord smiled, pointing at the hairy man Gu masters behind him. The king wants to hold a martial competition, but each region can only send 3 people. And in our region, there are both of our cities. The Gu masters behind me are the ones I am going to send to the competition. But because the king has limited the number of people, we can hold a contest here first and decide who goes to the martial competition. Ha ha ha. Very good, I have the same idea. Steel Thread City Lord laughed, clapping as she summoned the hairy man Gu masters onto the stage. Both sides dispatched a person each and started to fight. After several rounds, Huafeng City won all of their matches, while Steel Thread City lost all of theirs. Huafeng City Lord laughed, drinking wine casually, while Steel Thread City Lord had a grim expression. She had a heavy feeling, to think that Huafeng City Lord came prepared, he picked such elite Gu masters. Oh no, if we do not win any battles, this would definitely become widely spread news. For the next few years, we will live under the pressure of Huafeng City. There is only one match left, Steel Thread City Lord, please send your participant. Huafeng City Lord urged. Steel Thread City Lord snorted coldly, she placed her gaze on a hairy man. But this hairy man Gu master was breaking out in cold sweat, this situation made him feel a strong burden. Precisely so, he felt a lack of confidence. Not just him, the higher-ups of Steel Thread City in the banquet also felt no confidence in him. At this moment, an elder in the city transmitted to Steel Thread City Lord secretly, City Lord, I know someone who can salvage our reputation. Steel Thread City Lord heard this and was overjoyed, she quickly asked who it was. This elder answered, City Lord, did you forget, you recently bought a human slave, he has rank 5 cultivation level. Steel Thread City Lord was stunned, her expression was bitter as she transmitted, "This is inappropriate. My contest with Huafeng City Lord is an open, fair and just matter involving our reputations. If I send out this human slave, so be it if we lose, but if we win, he will be sent to participate in the martial competition. If the king sees that my Steel Thread City sends a human instead of hairy men, would he not reprimand me?" The elder laughed. He knew that this was just Steel Thread City Lord's excuse. The truth was, Steel Thread City Lord was just reluctant. That slave called Fang Yuan had been visited by the city lord almost every night since he was bought. This had made a lot of the higher-ups unhappy. The elder continued, "City lord, don't worry. The current king is magnanimous, he only cares about talent. Among the elders assisting him, there are no lack of snowmen and feathermen. City lord, if you send Fang Yuan and he loses, he can take full responsibility. If he wins, our reputation will be salvaged, and he would be sent to the competition. The king would surely hold a good opinion of you, he might even think of you as a friend, who knows?" Steel Thread City Lord looked at this elder deeply, thinking, "This old fox is really scheming. Isn't the reason simply because I have neglected the nephew that you sent to me? This is such a vile plan. If we win, I will send Fang Yuan away. If we lose, I will have to kill Fang Yuan and throw the responsibility to him. Regardless of victory or defeat, I will lose Fang Yuan." "Oh, forget it." Steel Thread City Lord sighed, "How can I be someone who gives in to lust and neglects the important matters?" Even though Steel Thread City Lord visited Fang Zheng every night and was obsessed with him, she was a hard-hearted person, a hairy man who pursued authority and power. In her heart, looks were nothing. Thus, Steel Thread City Lord swapped that hairy man and summoned Fang Zheng, informing him. After learning of the reason, Fang Zheng walked onto the stage. "It is a rank 5 Gu master." Huafeng City Lord's heart jumped, sensing Fang Zheng's rank 5 aura, he immediately was on alert. He smiled, "According to the rules, my side will decide the content of this round. In the previous few rounds, we competed using battle strength, now how can the traditions and essence of us hairy men be discarded? This round, we will compete using Gu refinement." Once he said that, Steel Thread City Lord almost berated him in anger. The elders from Steel Thread City also looked towards Huafeng City Lord with distaste. But Huafeng City Lord had been a city lord for many years, he was unabashed, he ignored these glances. Steel Thread City Lord could not rebuke him, after all, the rules were set earlier. She waved to Fang Zheng, "Go and compete. Display all of your capabilities, remember, you must win at all costs. If you lose, you will lose your life to compensate for the loss." Fang Zheng heard this and was expressionless. He had been utterly humiliated these last days. Steel Thread City Lord had a strong desire for night activities, she liked all sorts of stances and positions, they did it 17 or 18 times a night, she had no restraints. Fang Zheng felt like he was better off dead. Fang Zheng really wanted to simply die, but as a slave, he was under their control, he could not even die if he wanted to. Steel Thread City Lord threatened him with death now, to him it was a form of release. In his mind, there was a thought, do I still want to live? I might as well surrender and die. But at this moment, a voice appeared in his mind, idiot. A true man needs to be able to give in and put down his pride at times, this humiliation is nothing. If you have guts, take revenge in the future, cut all of these enemies who humiliated you into a million pieces. This is the act of an outstanding individual. Who are you? Fang Zheng was shocked, he screamed out loud. On the other side, Huafeng City's final hairy man Gu Master stepped onto the stage. He thought Fang Zheng was talking to him, he puffed out his chest and said, I am Mao Shirba. Fang Zheng did not respond. He had regained his freedom, he could use many Gu worms now, but the voice in his mind appeared and vanished instantly, he could not find any traces of it no matter how much he inspected his body. Scum, you dare to humiliate me? Mao Shirba was furious. He gave his own name, but Fang Zheng ignored him, it was as if he was too high and mighty to introduce himself. Mao Shirba was extremely angry. Why is this guy so angry? Fang Zheng was startled into awareness by Mao Sheba. He thought this to himself. Because of this misunderstanding, before the contest started, there was huge animosity. Under everyone's gazes, the contest started. Mao Sheba was the strongest Gu master in Huafeng City. He was skilled in both the pen and the sword. Not only was he good at fighting, he was also skilled at refining Gu. In contrast, even though Fang Zheng cultivated an immortal crane sect for some time, he mainly cultivated enslavement path. He had only explored refinement path a little. The contest had just started, but Mao Sheba already took the lead. During the middle of the contest, Mao Sheba had already left Fang Zheng in the dust. His advantage was immense. In the final moments, the hairy men watching, be it from Steel Thread City or Huafeng City, did not think that Fang Zheng could win. Even Fang Zheng thought the same. Am I going to lose? So be it, death is release after all. He sighed internally. Bullshit. At this time, the voice spoke again. Fang Zheng was shocked, his hands trembled, the half-complete Gu went up in smoke. Ha ha ha. Huafeng City Lord laughed. Steel Thread City Lord had an ugly expression. Inside Fang Zheng's mind, the voice continued, how can a true man falter in the face of such a small setback? You are. Fang Yuan. This time, Fang Zheng recognized the voice. He, my main body is already dead. Only this will is left in your mind. As my brother living in this world, you are not thinking of improving yourself, you do not seek revenge, I truly cannot watch anymore. Fang Yuan's will scolded angrily. Fang Zheng snorted, thinking, you are already dead, why are you still coming out to interfere in matters? He was familiar with Lord Sky Crane's soul, who helped him cultivate in the past. It was easy for him to converse with Fang Yuan's will, in fact, he even felt a sense of nostalgia. But on the surface, the hairy men could not see anything. They only thought that Fang Zheng was completely dazed and had a blank expression. Fang Yuan's will felt Fang Zheng's animosity and laughed nonchalantly, since I am dead, why did you use my name to impersonate me? Fang Zheng was silent. Fang Yuan's will continued, you were humiliated and tortured, but you refused to expose your real name, this shows that you still have a sense of shame, anger, and hatred. Then why are you not using this chance to improve and get stronger? You know the situation, if you win this, you will be able to join the martial competition, freeing yourself from being a slave and regaining freedom. I want to win too, who doesn't want revenge and freedom? But my loss is assured. Fang Zheng said angrily. Ha! Fang Yuan's will laughed, as long as you follow my instructions, you can surpass Mao Sheba and win this. Fang Zheng was stunned, he asked, what scheme is it this time? Humph. Fang Yuan's will snorted, even though I am dead, I am indignant. I want revenge. None of the hairy man Gu immortals who killed me will escape. You are my hope for revenge. Aren't you using my name now? Then take revenge for me. Why must I help a demon who slaughtered his entire clan like a monster take revenge? Fang Zheng replied furiously. Fang Yuan's will replied, there is no time for you to squabble. Follow my instructions. Start the fire, put in the 3 different kinds of gold. Remember, profound gold, ice gold, and tear gold, place them inside the cauldron in order. Fang Zheng gritted his teeth, even though he did not want to listen to Fang Yuan, his words gave him some hope of victory, and this concerned his life. Hesitating for a while, he stretched out his hand. Refining Gu again. The audience laughed loudly upon seeing this. But in a few minutes, they could not laugh anymore, they looked at Fang Zheng in shock. He raised his right hand, holding the Gu worm, he had refined it under everyone's gazes. I won. He breathed in deeply, declaring loudly. In the hall, nobody spoke. Even his opponent, Mao Sheba, could not accept this fact, he was staring blankly. The atmosphere was quite unique. The hairy men did not want to acknowledge that a human had defeated an expert hairy man Gu master in a competition of Gu refinement. After a while, someone said, quickly look, the rainbow light from cloud cover continent is fading. Everyone followed what the voice had said. Dozens of gazes looked through the entrance of the hall. Indeed, the rainbow light coming from cloud cover continent was vanishing. From the rainbow light, a figure walked out. It seems you have recovered. Xianxia Land's spirit looked at this person and smiled. Yes. This person nodded. This is all thanks to First Supreme Elder. As he spoke, the rainbow light faded, showing his appearance. If Fang Zheng saw this person, he would be shocked. This person was naturally Fang Yuan. Xianxia Land's spirit laughed. If you want to thank me, isn't it simple? Give Dang Hun Mountain, Luo Pa Valley, or Wisdom Gu to me. Fang Yuan smiled. Giving is impossible. But we can make a trade. I wonder what price First Supreme Elder is willing to pay. Ugh. Xianxia Land's spirit's laughter stopped. This. He was hesitant. Awkwardness was written all over his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.